But yeah, not like I have a good one.
Welcome to another Sunday Superversive live stream. I am your host, Benjamin Wheeler, and today we will be discussing all things Pinkerton's Ghost. This is, of course, a part of our once a month promise to our subscribers, who are lovely and beautiful and wonderful in every way, and all those mean things they say about you because you got that muscle car is completely wrong, completely and utterly wrong. We believe in you. They're wonderful. And of course, we're fulfilling our duty to them. For $5 a month, at least you may offer up Q&As, questions, as well as take a look at our episodes up ahead Monday before their Friday release. Right now, we are doing a one week off, 1 week on schedule so that my brave little writers here can rest their weary ink-stained hands, uh,
Yay!
and their whipping wounds can heal and all the good stuff. Um, but if you wish to support us, we have the link here because we are nothing if not shills. Shills, I tell you. I'm joined today by Ken Dickason, the writer and voice of Jim Donovan,
Good
and
evening.
Anthony Marchetta, my co-host, Superb, as well as the writer and voice of Sean Russo. How are you boys doing today?
Quite
Doing
nicely.
great. I have a question.
Hmm?
Why is this not popping up in my notifications?
It should.
It could be because it was planned. Like sometimes when you schedule things, they don't always pop up in your notification. I don't know why. It's annoying.
Well, it looks like we're live on YouTube with
Yeah,
all
if
the.
I go on YouTube and search it, I can find it.
You're not subscribed, Anthony.
I am subscribed.
Okay.
That's why I'm confused. But if I search for it, I can find it. So that's weird. I don't get it. I don't know.
It shows at the top of my subscription list, so I'm not sure what your problem is there, Anthony.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Eh,
As long as it's working with some of us.
it's working.
Hey, I just realized that my
Hmm?
headphones aren't plugged in. I should do that.
Thank you. All right. Looks like Cordell Mitchell is leading us in with the question: are you guys growing anything in your gardens or pots this year? I haven't gotten a chance to listen to the latest episode either. I'm guessing the stream may have spoilers. You're absolutely right that the stream may have spoilers, but that's okay. Don't worry. We won't get too. No, I'm kidding. We'll answer whatever questions we're given. Yes.
To answer his question, I am. I'm growing a succulent in my in a pot, and I have been growing it in my kitchen for the last 6 months. Somehow it has resisted every attempt I've made to kill the damn thing.
Amazing. Astounding.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How about you, Anthony?
Miracle. Am I growing? No.
Fair. I'm not.
No. Hopefully I'll be shrinking soon, because summer's starting and we gotta get our workouts in.
Oh, there it is.
Sci-fi. We at Superversive Sci-Fi and Pinkerton's Ghosts are proud supporters of healthy habits.
Absolutely.
I'm actually doing something similar too. Yeah, I gotta do. I try to do workouts in my chain mail to increase the resistance training.
That's
It
why
is
he
hard.
does it.
This is why I do it.
I like. There's a meme I saw where it's like Victorian historians. Knights could barely move and they were slow, and then medieval knights vaults onto the horse from a standing still position, just straight up jumps onto his horse and then rides it off. It's like, yeah, right.
That's
So
right.
these guys were immensely fit.
Yeah.
They could do basically like Olympic level gymnastics casually.
Well, yeah,
Exactly.
because That's an extremely stupid thing to think or say, and makes no sense as soon as you think about it for more than maybe 30 seconds.
My family grows apple trees in the middle of St. Louis, and I mean literally in the middle of St. Louis.
Wow.
So it's like just off the river, really. South City, Dutch Town. Um, so yeah, they're actually growing in. I could have sworn a bunch of them were dead last year, but not so much. Not so
Do they,
much.
are your apples actually tasty, or do they taste like St. Louis?
They're absolutely delicious.
Fantastic.
They're fantastic cider apples too.
Ooh,
They're just good all around.
awesome. I enjoy a good cider.
Truly
cider.
great.
Yes. Yep. Otherwise, though, I'm not growing anything. I'm shrinking a little bit. I'm down 10 or so pounds from a recent maximum, and I'm going to keep that
Good man.
going up.
Well
There
done.
we go.
I went back to working out, and I experienced a lot. It just is like, no, it hurts. But that's all right. I'll get.
Are you doing
back in.
cardio as well as anaerobic, or just anaerobic?
Yep, I do cardio and aerobic.
Good.
All kinds of stuff because, you know, it's kind of the whole package. Not that I'm ever going to win any land speed races.
Sure.
Yep. And I actually use the time to think about stories.
Oh, sure.
Quite a bit.
Not with that attitude, you won't.
Plus, it makes it so that you're easier. You have a better chance of improving your breathing abilities, so that your stories will sound better. So I'm excited for that.
Ken, I was doing an hour of cardio every day during the main season of Pinkerton's Ghosts.
Really?
Yeah. I was on, so like when I was working for Quick Trip, I was on my feet 9 hours a day doing work.
Oh, wow.
And then
Wow.
I would go to the gym to exercise, and I did about an hour of cardio every day, besides the anaerobic exercise.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to stop trying,
Solid.
but I think the breathing is much more natural than the size of my body. Here's a story. A Portuguese soldier believed he was the only survivor of the fortlet. He was out of ammunition, but still had the powder necessary to kill the oncoming enemy. The Turks, fully believing the man was indeed out of ammunition, were surprised to get shot while trying to enter the bastion anyway. According to a Dutch priest who was present, the man ripped out his own tooth and loaded it into his weapon so he could keep fighting.
Good grief.
Absolute
Well, that's
Chad.
gruesome. But I love it.
Right? Can you imagine just getting shot by somebody's incisor? It's like, yeah, he's out of ammunition.
You know, considering how hard teeth are, that might actually pierce through a person.
Oh, yeah.
That would
At least if it goes
probably
through the soft tissue.
work. That would work, I think.
Through soft tissue, I don't think it'll punch through bone. Might crack bone, but it won't penetrate bone, I don't think. You know what? This calls for a Google search. Shotgun shells loaded with teeth.
So,
That'll be the easiest way.
So, Jim, what are you making?
There's got to be some sort of application for this. Well, you can load cremation ashes into shotgun shells.
Duh.
Wow, I'm going to do that for sure.
Right.
You do it to shoot a turkey.
I'll do that, and I'll add it to a Pinkerton's Ghost story. Separate.
Right?
It's the dust of a saint.
Yes. That's exactly what Tim would do.
And you're just burning this guy. It's like, listen. You know, I know you demon came in here all big and bad, but this is the literal ashes of St. George, and I've got 12 shots, and there's 2 of you. We can do the math, or you can get back in your little hell portal and get back to your eternal suffering. The choice is yours.
Oh my goodness. The current story I'm writing, there's actually application for that.
Duh.
Oh.
Fantastic.
Perfection.
I just
Right.
like sit
I
there.
dig
What
it.
am I gonna edit it? What am I gonna edit? I don't like this, but that's okay.
If I can make you suffer, Ben, as much as you make me suffer, then I feel like our jobs are both done.
It's true. It's
It is.
absolutely true.
Absolutely.
Suffering builds great art. That's all it is.
Absolutely true. That's kind of that's a weaker version of the sermon I listened to today at church.
Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was like the sub point. His main point was keep knocking. You know, he was doing the whole ask, seek, knock parable.
That
I did an
doesn't
okay version
sound
of it.
like predestination.
Oh no, my new church is not predestined.
Excellent. Wonderful.
Yes. Yes. The music is absolutely terrible. I miss Hillsong, which I never thought I'd say in my life. Not Hillsong, the church, just the music. The music was actually good. But the preaching is okay. The pastor actually looks like he works out, which most pastors I've seen here in Los Angeles, you know, they're skinny hipster suffering boys. But this guy at least has got some lats, some pecs.
Ooh. He looks like he wrestles the devil regularly.
Exactly. His leg game is a little weak, but at least he's got muscles in the upper torso. Bald as a billiard ball, though.
Eh.
It made it funny today because I sat next to my friend Miles, who also is as bald as a billiard ball. And I, of course, have hair down to my shoulders. Flowing, majestic locks.
Flexing on the rubes.
Yes. And I figured out a perfect answer to anybody who asks me why I keep my hair long. Because the Spartans believed that long hair makes a beautiful face more beautiful, but it makes a gruesome face even more fearsome.
It's true.
Yes, and put it this way, I do not have a beautiful face.
Well, I
Excuse
mean,
me anytime.
I mean, it also gives you a thing to grab on, but you know, there's no
Oh,
Pinkerton's ghost dress code or anything like that. I think
this is true.
right. It's like, you know, why'd you quit the security commission or the days or whatever? They made me cut my hair. Okay, you're in. That's fine. You're a weird enough dude for this organization.
Besides, demon and vampires, you really don't need to worry about your hair. It's not like they don't have a million other ways to kill you super fast.
Exactly. Which is why you kill them first.
That's right.
Remember, guys, it's the Pinkerton way. Remember, guys, to ask your questions in the chat. Otherwise, we're just going to continue doing our little song and dance game, ribbing each other lightheartedly as I look at Helltaker memes. And that's it, really.
Speaking of Helltaker, which is an interesting topic change, not even speaking of Helltaker, but I watched the Has Been Hotel recently.
Gross.
And that was actually kind of entertaining.
Really?
Yes.
I mean,
I heard it was converged, which is why I have avoided it.
Oh, it's very converged.
It's entirely converged. I liked Alistair. Alistair was the best part of that show.
Absolutely. He was the only thing I laughed at. The rest of it, no, total conversion. Absolute trash.
Skip. Alistair's on screen. This is fantastic. Skip.
Exactly. And of course, Alistair is himself pretty much just, he feels like that some of the various demons that we deal with on Pinkerton's Ghosts.
Absolutely. I'm pretty much going to have something. I like, so spoilers for season 2 finale in a year that you won't remember. I do plan on having character references in Pinkerton's Ghosts. Just have some fun with it.
What do you mean by character references?
Oh, referencing other characters in other works.
Oh,
Like
sure,
have
sure.
the
But
demon be this, like a reference to this other demon that shows up in
mm,
like Helltaker or something. Like you can't
oh,
have it
gotcha.
explicitly, but just enough. Just having
Sure,
fun with it.
sure.
Because there's also like, I don't want to put it like I could do something like from a vacuum, but honestly, like it's gonna. How do I want to put it? The media that I have intaken for certain subjects, like I
Hmm.
don't read a lot of demonology literature or
Right.
anything like that. I do
Good, because
enjoy Helltaker. So it's like I'm probably just going to have it a reference to Zadrada or something like that. Just have it in there. Sup, Mega Buster Shepard? Just to give a little spice to it, make the character more firm in my mind. Because honestly, like I mostly just stitch stuff together and then file off the serial numbers, as all good authors should.
of course.
And then I throw the switch in lightning, and it's life. Mm. Smoky lab.
Yes. Now, explain Helltaker to me, because I don't believe I've actually heard or seen or really read anything
I
about
know
it.
nothing about it.
Yes. So please enlighten your two friends.
It's a
Into
it's
your
a
crazy ones.
it's a free game on Steam.
Oh,
It's
okay.
got waifus in it.
Oh, it's that
Ah.
game. Okay, I've seen that.
Yep, it's
Oh,
free,
I
so it's
see.
enjoyable. So, but it's like I kind of got into it. I enjoy the characters and the characterization.
Sure.
Um, yeah, not much to it. It's a really good puzzle game too. But the guy's like, if you don't care about that, you can just skip it. Most of the character inspiration for Control I actually took from Helltaker images,
Really?
fan art,
Wow.
just because she has a specific look, and
Hmm.
so like because I am not able to cast from the void,
Hmm.
um, yeah, well, I have to kind of cheat, and by that I mean I don't source my image files. I've got stuff 10 years old from DeviantArt. I don't even know where it's from. And I don't care to know either.
Good old DeviantArt.
Yep. Hell of a Boss is actually pretty okay. It says converged as the rest of it. But, what's that guy's name? Who did Death Stranding?
Oh, Kojima.
Kojima.
No, voice, the model for the
Right.
Sam Porter, Norman Reedus.
Yeah,
There we
normally.
go. Who is apparently like he shows up in quite a bit, and I was really surprised. He was in Pandorum. I didn't know that.
Don't know that.
That is a really good sci-fi horror.
Really?
And he plays Shepard,
Hmm.
who's sort of a minor character in it.
Hmm.
It's interesting. It's got a pretty decent um,
Wait a second. I think
ending
I've
twist.
seen this one. This is the one I'm thinking. Let me see this. Let me Google this here. Oh yeah. I saw this. It didn't leave much of an impression, but I remember watching it.
Yeah. It's one of those sci-fi horror movies that are kind of just like zombie movies, except in a sci-fi look.
Right.
That's how it is.
It wasn't quite. It was similar to, but not quite as good as Dead Space.
Right. He was in Hell of a Boss for Stryker, who was the villain of an episode that might be coming back later. And it's basically him growling and purring into the mic for 20 minutes, and it's actually pretty good. You just kind of skip ahead whenever
Mm-hmm.
he's not on screen, and it's a pretty decent experience. It
Huh.
also has a pretty good scene. So like there's these two little demons that are like married to each other, and they have this wholesome relationship to balance out the fact that they're depicting hell fairly accurately on how
Hmm.
miserable and horrible it is for them
Hmm.
to be in it. And so like he almost kills the guy, but the Minnie runs in and she basically starts slitting him up the back until he's able to smash her against the wall enough times to make her lose conscience. Yeah, it's Megabuster Shepard has what was that?
I was going to say he was also in Blade 2. Interesting.
Huh. I have not seen the Blade movies. Megabuster Shepard says it's very much meant for the modern millennial LGBTQ PPP, that includes the pedophile P, pop culture obsessed people, but I can appreciate it from a technical POV. Yeah. So I will say this for the Has Been Hotel crew. She basically made it from scratch. And even though she took the ticket with an HBO Max series, she's still producing. So it's a natural talent that has blossomed and then was enchained to an appropriate side of her choosing. So it's one of those things. It's like, oof, natural talent turning evil, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, she chose it.
Sure.
The hell of a boss and hotel Has Been Hotel, so on, will have a little bit of irony to the end of her life, unless she is taken by Christianity or takes to it, whichever you are.
Right. Tomato, tomato.
But yeah, I actually used the stabbing bit because it's a really good scene where she just runs in and starts janking him. In a Jackmorrow short story, I turned into Misha Barnett, who basically Jackmorrow is trying to prevent a young girl from being taken by elves as a tithe for a particular like low level noble, and I basically no, it wasn't that. Which scene was it? I was doing it for one specific one. I can't remember. It's meant for capital F fandom. Yeah. Hell of a boss. Yeah. I didn't even watch the fourth one. I just skipped to the Norman Reedus episode. I like his work. Yeah, I can't remember. But I had a scene where he leaps from a bit. So the elf distracts him with a living cloak, and then takes the girl, and he's going into the doorway to Tartarus. Not that I call it Tartarus, because that would be too close to John C. Wright. Not that that's a problem. But he leaps off a building, and Jackmorrow's like 13 at this point, and it's basically he starts shanking the elf to bits, and they stumble through the portal together, but the girl remains safe. Yeah, I'm hoping Nisha Burnett takes it. The more we put out, that's the one I wrote 7,000 words in a day. So I'm just kind of hoping that we can get more stuff out there like that. I know Kursova is opening up submissions. Thank you very much. Soon, so I will be submitting to that. Another probably Jackmorrow story, or maybe a Tommorrow. Tommorrow story.
Oh no!
I love it. He's exactly that kind of guy. As he giggles as he guns down Nazis, but they get a lot of Nazi stories. I don't know. I'll have to work it out.
It's just too obvious. You got to make them communists.
Sure. Soviets trying to take up on the Thule Society's work or something. Yeah, I dig it. Anthony, you're being quiet. You doing okay?
I'm doing fantastic, but I have nothing to add about a conversation about Has Been Hotel.
That's fair.
I've never watched it. I know nothing about it except that it's converged, and that's why I avoided it. It might be fantastic in terms of quality, but I wouldn't know.
I'd say the thing that's best about it is it really makes you realize, wow, hell sucks. I don't want to go there. Even if you're laughing at the various denizens therein, you realize that even the most innocent person there is utterly degenerate and loves their degeneracy. Also, I assume you've seen The Walking Dead with Norman Reedus.
I didn't watch past the first season. I got to the point where I'm trying to think of it, where they had that environmental message, like in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, and the guy they were just letting him rant, and it's like, I don't care about this. I'm moving on.
That never showed up again in the 5 seasons I watched. I stopped once they killed off the only hopeful female character in the entire thing, and after that it just became nihilistic depression without any relenting. And as I understand it, that hasn't stopped in the 7 seasons or whatever after I stopped watching.
Is it still going on?
Oh yeah, they've got it scheduled to 2022 at least.
With the same characters and everything like that?
Well, it looks like thus far Daryl is the only one who has stayed through the entire time. Even Andrew Lincoln, I think, the guy who played the main character, he left. I want to say a season or two ago. Oh yeah, he left in 20. I guess he left in 2021. The battered wife chick, she's still in there. Lauren Cohen, the female they picked up in the 2nd season, is still there. Yeah.
Huh. Honestly, I thought Daryl was killed off.
I mean, I would have thought so too, but only because I haven't watched it since 2015. I just every once in a while go back and see if so and so is still alive or not.
Fair enough. Oh my goodness, it's 24 episodes. It looks like the Black Samurai chick, Daryl, and somebody I don't recognize. I was really surprised. And apparently they still got plot lines going on. I don't know.
Yes.
That's so weird. And it's like Negan's still a thing, but like Negan was a meme, and they're still going for it. That's strange. Megabuster Shepard says, much like how Pony went woke in the end, 7 good seasons, and then they had to make Dash a lesbian.
I don't know that show.
My Little Pony Friendship is magic. I don't remember her being in a relationship with anybody. But then again,
although that does complete the meme.
I stopped like in season 4, I think. I don't know. The fact of the matter is that kind of was there.
Oh, sure.
And it's like it's one of those things where it's like it wasn't there because I've known women like that before. There but for the grace of God, go they, I guess. But it's like as long as it's not explicit. I think there was a writer change somewhere in there. I don't know. I'm not seeing anything about it.
That's one of those shows I never got into, even though several friends tried to tell me, "No, Ken, you'll like it. It's for nerds."
I'm never getting into My Little Pony. I don't want to. The whole community creeps me out. I want nothing to do with it.
Nothing personal, Megabuster Shepard.
So apparently, Word of God, they did it in the last episode with Applejack.
Wouldn't it be more then? Shouldn't we mention that they made Applejack a lesbian?
Yeah.
Is that the more notable one?
Yeah, that is a notable one.
She was the Texan, right?
Yeah.
With the bad Texas accent.
It's an Ozarkian accent.
I know. She's just the one I recognize her name.
Yeah, fair.
She is pretty wholesome.
Was pretty wholesome.
I'm not seeing anything about it. And well, like, what do I know? It is degenerate.
My Little Pony is never made for me, and I'm fine with it.
And here we are, just waiting for people to question us about questions deeper in.
Well, there is a question for you, Ben. Did you have questions pre-written for us?
No.
Oh, okay. Fair.
All right, guys. What's up?
Here's a question that I've been intending to ask from before waiting for the final episode so that we could talk about it. What is your favorite story of each of the characters? Like, for each of us, just what's your favorite Jackmorrow? What's your favorite Sean Russo? What's your favorite, I'm blanking, Jim Donovan? And then of the 3, what story? Because I think it's agreed among the 3 of us, right? That Ben the best writer. Just
Oh.
Hands
that's
down.
factually, logically, yeah. I don't think there's any controversy in stating such a thing.
No, no, no. You're
So
not going to make anybody surprised by this. I think all three of us have
over.
a certain thing that's better. Like we do best of everything. Like I feel Anthony, I think you do the best dialogue. Ben definitely action, and you guys have said time and again that I do the best horror.
Yeah, which I would say. So, what's your favorite Jackmorrow story? We'll start, Ben, it's your character. What is your favorite story that you've written?
Mm. For me, it's probably The Puppeteer Returns,
Mm, that's a good story. Why do
where
you like it best?
That is
so part of it is that I really like Jack's conflict with the puppeteer because it's one of the few monsters he actively hates on,
Mm,
um, as well as it hates him in return. So there's like this mutual rivalry. But
mm,
also, I just inherently enjoy writing Jack as like the villain of someone else's story.
mm,
Uh, like it's like think about it. You know, something comes in, kills your parents, but you're in the safe room. All right, you've got some food and some water, and you're trying to figure out if it's safe, but you still hear things go on. Someone
right.
comes in, and then he goes systematically through the rooms. You don't see anything, you don't see or hear anything, and then all of a sudden, you know, the baby sneezes.
Mm,
Uh, you know, and then all of a sudden, the thing that you know is there, the human, runs, rips apart the thing with the safe room with his bare hands, and
mhm,
then you know you're pointing a gun at him. You're going to defend the family, but you can't do it. It's a human. It's not a
right.
monster.
Right.
And he begins choking the life out of you. But your brother runs down, takes the family sword, which was a gift from a friend, which I established as a Chekhov's gun because I'm a good writer. Uh, and chops off, doesn't even hit the guy, but just like all of a sudden he goes limp. He gets up, runs out, shoots at something, falls out, disappears, and then the police come. Like you have no idea who this guy is. You have no, he is outside your context. It is alien. He invades. You don't even see the puppeteer in this story. Well,
Mm,
the not the victims of the puppeteer, but you know Jack sees it,
right.
and you have no idea what's going
Mm,
on. Also, it lets me build on Jack's character development a bit because
mhm,
he's done this for about 10 years now, explicitly. Well, 12, and a few years before that, implicitly. So it's
mm,
like it's starting to kind of build on him. Eventually, very late in the series, I will have a thing where his body just gives out on him,
mm,
and then his son is going to go on a quest, um, or I don't know, like the, I'm not going to talk about that one, but like
mm,
I do want the son at one point, basically to try and get like a healing potion of some kind
mhm,
for it, and in return for him or his mother. I can't. There's like a couple of different story ideas about this that I'm playing with. I haven't decided yet. That's why I'm speaking kind of generally about it. Where
sure.
he basically has to kill a questing beast, which Orsanto has been growing to sell out as kind of like horrifying mercenary work to
Right.
kill supernatural things, but really to just kill anyone in their path. And it's used as an entertainment opportunity by the elves.
Oh, absolutely.
But he wins because you know he's Jackmorrow's kid, and his mother was pretty badass herself. Um, so it's like that. Like the goal is to show Jackmorrow's dentedness. He's dented iron. You know, he's beat himself back into shape or whatever. But
Mm,
at certain points, like you know, the end of the series is going to be absolutely horrifying for Jackmorrow, but at the
sure.
same time, Jackmorrow is horrifying for other people. And I mean, like, I'm good. I'm just it. You guys won't remember this, but I'm gonna trap him in a room with his dying father, and he
Mm,
can't leave. He can't run away from it. All he can do is sit there and listen to his father die. He hates his father, His father did horrible things in pursuit of immortality because he never wanted to pay the ticket. But he's listening to him go, "I don't want to die," as his voice gets wetter and it gets like, sort of thing.
Right.
And eventually he dies and he's able to escape. But he has to sit there and listen to it. And it's kind of like a reversal of it all.
Sure.
He'll come out a different person. Like his main storyline is going to be over.
Right.
But the horror, the nightmare of it, will be stuck with him for the rest of his life.
Sure.
So that's why I like the Puppeteer Returns. Also, it leads into Nighthawk Rider, which was a very fun episode to write, both
Sure.
as an examination of Jackmorrow's mindset and just a funny episode. So, there's a diner just off kilter from the center of the universe and all universes. And why is it in Art Deco? Because God has nice taste, and that's it. That's the joke. You've heard the episode. Anyway, let's go for you, Ken.
As much as I really did enjoy Nighthawk Diner, and really the humor was on point, and it really felt like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, even though you have said you never read the book, I really enjoyed The Wild Hunt. That'll never, I think, not be my favorite Jackmorrow episode.
If you guys want to see The Wild Hunt, you could be a subscriber on our Subscribe Star or Patreon. Sorry,
What?
keep going. What?
Oh, no. This is a lead-in? No.
No.
I couldn't be that not subtle. And because of that, I won't obviously do any major spoilers, beyond just saying there are some fantastic characters that you develop from history and mythology, mostly mythology, entirely mythology, actually, that I thought you did incredibly well with. It's got a very video game-esque feel to it, and that you're constantly getting ramped up boss fights, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack continuously gets hurt.
Oh yeah.
Like he shows actual battle damage throughout the entire episode, and uses his ingenuity as well as his propensity towards the touch of the ultra-violence.
Ultra-violence all the way, my dudes.
My droogs.
Droogs, excuse me.
But no, I think that's absolutely my favorite. But plus, you also did some very good work with your voices for that episode, I thought.
Mordred was a blast.
Well, as was the elf, who I forgot his name, the main elf.
Lieber de Mont.
Yes. Yes.
Or no,
No, the other one, the first one, the sponsor.
Oh, yeah. Where's the specials? There we go.
Lieber de Mont was fine, but I like the other. The kind of foppish character.
Oh, that guy.
Yes.
I can't remember his name. Where is the special?
Well, for want of a better name, I shall refer to him as Hedonism Bot from now on.
Oh,
for those of you who have seen Futurama.
Nice.
Yes. He absolutely pulled an excellent fan nod to that one of my favorite TV series by that character.
Oh, there it is. Huh. And he bet
Anthony,
on
that is
him.
not. Yes, and he bet on it. Even better. What was your favorite, Anthony? Or what was your favorite episode for Ben's?
My favorite Jackmorrow episode. I said it from when basically Ben came up with the concept for it, so he knows what I'm going to say probably. But I really, really liked Kronos' tune because it had a unique gimmick, and that I feel like he used really, really well in the story. I just thought the idea behind the episode was ingenious. The whole, the time skipping concept and the way that you could play with it on the page was really clever, and I thought he did a really good job using it. I also like Greek mythology.
Sure.
Yeah, it's always fun to see on the page, even in a very form.
So,
like you, I also enjoyed greatly Nighthawk Diner, and I enjoyed what was it? What was the title of your second to last? The last Jack episode before we hit the 3-part.
Gestures in the Dark.
Yeah, Gestures in the Dark
yeah.
had some fantastic. When Jack meets his mother was really a standout scene.
Yeah, it's
Tr-
true.
really, really well done. So I guess it's Kronos' tomb, but you have a lot of excellent stories, so it's a pretty difficult pick. But I like the gimmick of Kronos' tomb. I like how cleverly it was utilized, even if there isn't much deeper going on there.
Hmm.
So it has one of my favorite lines in the series. He's meeting the guy who's from the Clockwork Cognomen, and he goes Tim Shaft with a C, and Jackmorrow just goes okay pal with a C it is, because it's pronounced Tim Shaft, but there's a C in Shaft,
Right.
and he can't pronounce it and can't hear it, so he's just like whatever. I don't know why you told me this. Very Jackmorrow.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that
So
was yeah.
go ahead.
I was about to say like it writing Kronos' tomb was difficult, but I
Right.
think I hit it out just out of the park. And I think one of the secrets is that I always have Jack respond to it, but
Mm.
also he has an emotional reaction when it happens, and it's usually I don't like this guy, get away from me. And the guy always reacts like he was telling a joke or something, which is absolutely against character.
Right.
Can I pop
Uh,
in a question?
go for it, David.
Ooh,
By the way, hello,
David.
David. Welcome to the stream.
Hello, hello. Yeah, I arrived late and I said, oh, it's about Pinkertons. I gotta be on this one. So Days is a research institute, right?
Sort of. It's more like an FBI for the paranormal happenings. They do a
Okay.
lot of stuff though. Like it's a catch-all for a government institution to deal with the supernatural.
Okay. I was wondering if they have like conflicts ever, not outright conflicts, but conflicts of interest between the Pinkertons and Days. Is one being a research institute, the other is this needs to go away and stop hurting people right now.
Mm.
The Research
I think
Institute is the Security Commission.
Mm,
I think the Pinkertons also generally need to be very careful about avoiding direct conflicts. Because they're so even before the purge, they were so much smaller.
Right.
Yep. In
So
general, yeah. Sorry, keep going.
no, you could probably add more than I can. So go ahead.
So the basic philosophy of the Pinkertons and others to the Pinkertons is that if a Pinkerton shows up and blasts something in the face, they were probably a vampire or werewolf or something. Um, because, they're underpaid, overworked, and why should they, kill something that's going to end the world or whatever? Like it's kind of like they're doing things that are beneath our notice, because it's
Right.
like if you're dealing with like Nazi super weapons, um, strange Sasquatch animals, and who knows, angry Indian graveyards. You're
Right.
not going to worry about some punk werewolf in a no-name city that's on its last legs. Or
Right.
with the Security Commission, it's like they're containing ancient demon gods, books that write themselves with blood, and change react. Like it's all this monstrous stuff, and it's like, yeah, there's a vampire who's sucking cows in the middle of Oregon. Go deal with it. No, the world's on a timer. Like I've got 15 minutes to figure out the right incantation.
Right.
There's also the
Hmm?
There's also the point that the Pinkertons do deal with this stuff. In fact, they deal with it a lot. But the difference is that Pinkertons never or very rarely set out to deal with it. It's more like the Pinkertons go out to investigate. Now,
Yep.
oh shit, it's as if they're, like this is actually a way bigger deal than we thought, and somebody needs to put a stop to it now.
Right.
And we're here.
Yep.
And I always do wonder with that if how much does the security commission know? Like maybe they're monitoring what's going on and they haven't acted yet, or maybe they were hoping that the Pinkertons would get involved.
Mm.
And meanwhile, the relationship between them is supposed to be something of a mystery,
Mm.
not
Yep.
entirely forthright on all sides. You know, the and the funny thing is that we have been portraying the Pinkertons so far as a more or less unequivocal, unbiased, totally, scandal free, more or less source for good, when old Alan Pinkerton himself was by no means a morally uncompromised individual. I don't know if I would portray him as a historical villain either, but I certainly would not portray him as a straightforward hero.
Mm.
So it's kind of funny that we're portraying the paranormal Pinkertons as probably the most morally uncompromised of all the organizations. Though maybe that's something, as I'm talking about it now, that's maybe something that we could possibly explore is, as we rebuild the Pinkertons, Sean looks into the history or something, because Sean would be the one who would do this, as since
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
he would be who's working on the business side of it, and then realizes that they actually have like, shady aspects to their past, and they're not as squeaky clean as they thought, and then it becomes kind of a crusade with him that, we're gonna do it, we're gonna rebuild the Pinkertons, but we're gonna do it right this time. Now, this is something for you viewers. I have literally broached this topic for the first time right now. I have never thought about it before until this point, but it strikes me as something that makes sense.
Yep.
Yours is definitely the character that would handle it too, because Jack wouldn't care, and Jim, he certainly wouldn't care.
Well, Jim has his own things going on, and anyway, he doesn't necessarily believe that, doing morally questionable things is a bad thing as long as your ends are good.
Exactly.
Sean, however, could be bothered by it.
Right. I don't say Jim is a moral relativist, but if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck,
Well, Jim has an arc.
Jim has an arc indeed. I can
So,
hardly wait to play with it.
which is a good segue to favorite Jim Donovan story of the season. Ken, go.
Oh boy. Oh boy, my favorite season. The one I enjoyed most writing, I think, purely because it was totally different from everything else. Not because I think it's the best episode, not blah 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 blah, but just because it was the most different, is the Mermaid Song, where Jen Donovan taking a vacation on the Oregon coast. That's right, we don't call it a beach, we call it a coast because nobody goes there in a bikini. Decides to go whale watching and is suddenly kidnapped by mer people, or rather, fish people who are trying to become mer people. Anyway, long story short, he winds up accidentally destroying an entire ancient civilization, and it's very entertaining, I think. Once again, it's totally outside the normal Pinkerton's ghost structure. I'm kind of surprised Ben let it go through. But yeah, that's why I enjoyed it so much.
I think that was, in relative to the Pinkerton stories in season one, that was a popular story, right? As in, somebody else said that they liked it.
Yep. People have mentioned that.
Meaning relative to other stories in season one, that makes it by definition a popular story since we haven't had that much, commentary.
We're
Yeah,
starting
but
to break
yeah,
100
like-
views.
Yay!
Woohoo!
But
Any chance
my
we'll
favorite,
see?
so. Oh, go
What are you
ahead.
saying there, David?
Oh, any chance we'll get to see the old villains or more relic villainy from the Obscura Corps again? I mean, they make great villains ever since the Geisterhound episodes. I've just been like, when is this gonna pop up again?
We'll get to
That's
it.
a good question.
We'll get to it after we're done going over the episodes and favorite episodes.
All right.
Yep, everything is on the table.
That's right.
Anyway, so my favorite Jim Donovan episode. It was my favorite from when I read it, and you know what? My opinion still to this day has not changed throughout the whole season. Same as with Kronos' Tomb, and that is Red Coal. What is it? Red Coal Black Flame or something?
Black
Red
Shadows.
Coal's Black Shadows.
Red Coal Black Shadow. Thank you. Red Coal Black Shadow. I thought it was fantastic and pants-shittingly terrifying when I first read it, and I still do. With that said, Ghoul Story I thought was nearly as good.
Oh, great! I really like writing Ghoul story. That was a tough one.
Ghoul story was terrific. Both of them are, again, like, we mentioned, if you want to talk about strengths of the writers. Now, we say dialogue with me, but I don't really know if that's true or not. However, I actually think that your stories are terrifying
Yay!
because you're drawing off of actual demonic activity,
Right.
and that makes them, there is an air of authenticity to the stories that makes them automatically scary. Red Coal Black Shadow feels like something that could actually happen.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that is, which is what makes it, don't get me wrong, the Jackmorrow stories are frightening in their own way and very intense, like the Puppeteer Returns, but I don't ever expect to see the Puppeteers show up.
Right.
On the other hand, I do expect to see the sort of demonic activity that happens in the story. Like that, if I heard that that took place, I could believe it.
Sure. Because everyone, not everyone, but throughout history, you've had people experience sleep paralysis, and everyone says that there are sleep paralysis demons. Now, psychologists will tell you that that's just because your mind is waking up when you're falling asleep, and so you're seeing the remnants of a dream. Your mind can't quite focus between reality and dream yet. I'm personally of the opinion that you very well might be seeing into, the realm where angels and demons lurk. And I have no problem believing that it is very possible that you are actually seeing demons when you or can see demons when you have sleep paralysis.
Absolutely, though I've never experienced that stuff myself. For
Oh, yeah,
me,
it's terrifying.
oh yeah, for
I
me,
would imagine.
oh yeah, for me it was Tar Pit Nephilim.
Oh, okay.
Even though like Red Coal's Black Shadow is really good, um, I just kind of like the whole picture of this one a little bit more, just because we can actually see some of the outside cult activity that gathers around LA. And it was also something I didn't have to do as much with, so it was like you kind of like hitting it, and you like so Red Coal Black Shadows was when you really hit your stride. But then it
Right.
was like, yeah, predatory practice was pretty good. Mirror was a bit of a tooth puller. But then you hit Tar Baby, Dragon Fever. Who cares about Dragon Fever? And then
I
like,
hate the Dragon Fever episode so much.
right?
That's my least favorite right there.
Oh
If we're
yeah.
doing least
We'll
favorite episodes.
discuss that
Oh,
later.
but it was
least
hilarious.
favorite.
I've never seen a dragon horde what that dragon hordes. It was a scream.
I don't even remember where I got that from. I pulled that out of some fiction or something somewhere, and I wish I could remember.
But Succubus and Ghoul really worked out very well. So like Tar Pit Nephilim, I just like that one. Let's see here.
Sure.
Okay, but here's a real question from Megabuster Shepard. When will we get evil Dalmatians that try to push Jackmorrow off a cliff? Yeah, absolutely. That'll be
gosh.
just like an April Fool's
Okay,
episode.
but look.
I'm just
guys,
good.
in the new Cruella movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cruella's mom was killed by Dalmatian puppies.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that makes it perfectly logical that she wants to murder puppies and skin them.
Yes.
Are you joking?
Yep. Nope, not even
No,
joking.
I'm
Not for a little bit.
That's a real thing.
Yep. And it's so dumb.
People
It's a
got
2.5-hour movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
If you think about it, though, doesn't it have to be? Because how else can you possibly justify Cruella De Vil? Like, you need to come up with something both elaborate and stupid.
No,
Because
see,
there's no good way to do it.
there absolutely is.
She wants to kill puppies to turn
Sure,
them
no.
into a coat.
Here's how you do it.
So dumb.
If you make it a revenge story, then you kind of feel sympathy for it, which is terrible, and that's absolutely Disney's model. I hate it. But if you take it the proper way, you just tell a story of an evil woman who just gradually builds up from casual selfishness to the point where she is so evil that she is totally willing to kill puppies. That's how you should do the villain origin for it.
I will say this. There is a way, like you said, to do a villain origin story. The difference is that it needs to be focused on why a character is a villain
Right.
not why they're misunderstood.
Exactly.
And especially because Cruella is the silliest of all. Because
Oh, she
there
is.
truly,
Shades of the
this is
Maleficent
why.
movie, anyone?
Say what?
Shades of the Maleficent movie, anyone?
I'll be right
Yeah.
back,
Oh.
guys.
Maleficent. Your character's middle name is evil, and you're gonna make her misunderstood. Nonsense.
Okay, so you know, Star Kid, they did the Harry Potter musical.
I never saw it.
They're hysterical. They're very not. They're not superversive, nor do they pretend to be. But
Okay.
honestly, they are absolutely hilarious. And they did a parody of like Disney movie of Wicked and Maleficent and whatever, like those sorts of villain redemption movies called Twisted, and it
Okay.
was about like Jafar, right?
Okay.
And how Jafar was actually the misunderstood hero. But the difference with Twisted, of course, is that Twisted was a comedy. And
Right.
it's hysterical. It's absolutely hilarious. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I wholeheartedly recommend it, but with the warning that you should not watch it with children, and it's not superversive.
Oh no. Okay.
They have a scene where Jafar needs to consider, he's like about to turn evil, and all of the Disney villains show up, and all of them start making excuses as to like why they actually are the good guy. But then they have a moment where Cruella shows up, and she goes, "I just want to make a coat out of puppies," and everybody turns to her and goes, "Go, get out of here! You're not helping. No, leave." And that's what I think of when I think of Cruella. I think of like,
Right.
you have all of these villains that you try and do, and then you just have Cruella going, "I just want to make a coat out of puppies."
Exactly. Every other
Like,
Disney villain you could kind of justify.
I mean,
Claude Frollo is just trying to protect his people. That one guy from the Pocahontas movie, he just wanted some gold. I just wanted to make a coat out of puppy skin.
it's
Nah.
Let me tell you, Twisted, and the Harry Potter musicals are truly they're something else. The Harry Potter musicals are probably the best thing to come out of the entire Harry Potter franchise. And that's somebody who grew up with the series and actually enjoys it.
Mm.
Unlike you and Ben, who I know Ben thinks that it's demonic and you don't care for it.
The writing is also bad.
This is true. I agree with that.
Actually, I think that Harry Potter series is perfectly fine, but the is the Harry Potter musicals, which are hysterical. Again, they're not superversive; they don't pretend to be, but they're really, really funny.
I'll add it to my watch list on it's on YouTube, right?
Oh yeah, everything Star Kid does is on YouTube. They also, my favorite Star Kid production of all of them is actually called Starship, and it's a parody of Starship Troopers about a bug that has a dream of becoming a Starship Trooper.
Oh gosh.
And which is already just great in concept, and it has this ludicrous romance with the bug and a human woman, and the whole thing is completely ridiculous, but very, very funny.
Ooh.
But whatever. Anyway, that was just to fill time before Ben came back.
Yep.
Welcome back, boss.
We're on the third character, and that is Sean Russo.
So
and
Anthony,
since you started us off, that's right.
Yes.
So, what do I think the best Sean Russo story is? There are two that stick out to me in retrospect as being ones I particularly like and am proud of, and think they came out well. One is For the Man Who Has Nothing, which I think was a good concept that was executed well. Like, I think it was good from the idea stage, and I think that it came out well. It was very simple, very straightforward, but it did exactly it was everything that I wanted to do with it. So I like that. And the other story is the Sean Russo finale story, Party Crashers.
Okay.
And Party Crashers, I think I particularly liked because I had been to Shipton earlier in the season, and the whole Shipton plotline and mythos was something that I came up with literally years ago, and I was very excited to bring it out. And I wasn't as satisfied with the first two stories that I set and shipped in. Not that I think they came out badly. I don't think any of them have come out badly per se, but I wasn't as satisfied with them. And I feel like Party Crashers was it portrayed that whole storyline and those characters and things in a way that is closer to how they look in my head. Especially Blood Money. The scenes with Blood Money were super fun to write, and I was excited to write them.
Mhm.
And it was pretty gratifying talking with Ben about it. I had an image in my head of in Party Crashers, the ballroom scene.
Mhm.
So, the ballroom scene for people who either haven't heard it, I'm about to spoil the heck out of it, so sorry. But the ballroom scene that I'm referring to from Party Crashers is when Sean Sean and his temporary partner for the episode, Nick, break onto a boat where a big politician's bash is being held, and they realize that the vampire blood money is going to use the opportunity with all of the biggest movers and shakers in the city there to start to try and take control of the government. And Sean realizes he has to do something to stop this, so he sabotages the engine to cut the power on the ship and to force an evacuation. And then he goes to the ballroom where the party is actually taking place and waits to make sure that it works and to usher everybody off and to potentially step in case it goes wrong. And the scene is Blood Money walks out in a pinstripe suit and is about to, you know, perform his like mass hypnosis or mind control on the people on the people at the party.
Mhm.
And he starts to give a little speech in front of everybody, and he just kind of starts manipulating them, and it was really fun to write that dialogue and to write that moment. And it was very gratifying for Ken to say, by the way, that scene came out really, really well. And I'm like, good, I'm glad, because like in my head that was a really good scene. Like, it's nice when you translate something from your head to the page and it looks more or less how you imagined it. It's also rare. That's
Right.
another reason I liked Party Crashers. There was a scene that I was excited to write that apparently came out the way that I imagined it would in my head. And I'm glad he enjoyed the scene. Uh, with that said, in retrospect, Party Crashers, I don't know if I want to say that I regret it being one story. I don't, because I wrote it as one story, but
Mhm.
I probably would have split it into two. And what I would have done was I would have added a fight scene at the point where Sean goes and tracks the vampire to the docks
Right.
in the story. I probably would have made that like end of part one and turned that into a fight scene to give a proper climax. With that said, the story was not designed with that in mind, and it was not written that way. So it's
Mhm.
not as if like I have a problem with how it was written, but it is long.
Sure.
So maybe it would have been a good idea to cut it in two, but I'm happy with it. Anyway, Ben, go.
All right. So for me, it's Rook Manor Mystery.
Mm.
That was a difficult one to write, but it
Hmm.
really did come through well, and it's one of our highest watched videos.
Mm.
That isn't like the first video or Long Pigs, which is a joke. Uh, I wrote it. I put it up in some cannibal websites, and they just started watching it. I'm not proud of myself, but it's funny as hell. So
It's extremely funny.
it is extremely funny. But it hit it off. So for the people who are listening in, there is I do put my hand into just about everything these guys write, and I have like the first few for both testing. All right, reconnected.
The
Okay,
specific Sherlock Holmes
hold on.
story that it,
Oh,
Uh,
Ben's
I got
back.
I
Ben,
got
go ahead.
disconnected, and no, they couldn't hear anything. If I get disconnected, the stream's not
oh,
happening.
oh,
Just letting you guys know. But anyway, sorry about that, guys. But like the longer
That's okay.
things went on, the less I had to like do anything to it. I was talking about flourishes. One of the
right.
things that a lot of horror does not understand is that um, uh, you need more than just people screaming and running into the woods. You need flourishes. You need memorable kills. You need something that the audience can latch on to. It's a killer doll. It was great the first couple times it's been played, but now you need something more. Well, it's a secret, scary killer doll that's also possessed by demons. Okay, or there's voodoo, or um, like in I can't remember that Guillermo del Toro film about these little goblins that live in a house that they're renovating.
Oh, I don't know that.
I can't remember it, but these little goblins things kept screaming, "Give us your teeth! Give us your teeth!" And like, even though they were kind of CGI and kind of garbage, it was
Right.
incredibly scary because they weren't just going like, "Oh, we're gonna kill you" or something like that. It was literally just, "Give us your, teeth."
Huh.
But then again, I kind of have a thing for body horror, so that's it.
No, no. Anybody that
No,
reads your stories definitely couldn't tell that.
no. All right, sorry about that, Anthony. What were you saying?
No, no, it was really to fill time while you were gone. They couldn't hear us anyway, so as it turned out, it was just pointless.
Exactly.
So please keep going with you were talking about Rewcastle Manor mystery.
So
Yes.
in this case, like we kind of had some mid-season fatigue. All of us did. I was
Right.
still working, and I was dealing with my dad coming down sick with the flu, we shall say, as well as a few other things. Time travel stories. You want Kronos' tomb, my dude. Um, but it was like kind of hitting it out because you guys always have great ideas, and it's my job to kind of coax them out with your work. Um, and it was like us working through it. Me and Anthony working together, working through it. We got Violet's character down. Then we got sort of like how the rest of it's going to go down, and then we had to edit. Do this, do that, make sure it all works. Um, and eventually I'm actually quite happy with what came out. Both from like what your perspective and from the in general.
Yeah, the behind the scenes on Rewcastle Manor was a dark, dark moment. uh,
But it
I
worked
will.
out.
What I was telling Ken, and I'll wait for Ken to get before I repeat what I said to Ken. I'll wait for Ken to say his favorite because it's related to that. Uh, but for people who don't know, with Rewcastle Manor was like pulling teeth to write, and I don't know why. I
Mm.
still don't really know why, to be honest with you, because I knew exactly what to write. It was a matter of I would write a few sentences and stop and stare at the page, slam my head down several times, metaphorically, n- not literally, because if it were literal, my computer would be broken and I couldn't afford a new one. So, so anyway, the and I would write a few words and then I would stop and this was driving Ben especially nuts because, as he said, we had plotted the story, like, I think more than other stories, even, because, like me, Ben really did not know why I was getting stuck on it.
Mm.
And I could not answer him because I didn't know why I was getting
Mm.
stuck on it because we had worked the story out in pretty meticulous detail.
Right.
And the working out of that I'll mention after Ken speaks, but the point is after it was finally finished, I was just like, good, done. Except that I couldn't actually ignore Rewcastle Manor because Rewcastle Manor is actually a fairly critical story in Sean's little section of the mythos because it introduces Violet, who is going to become a major character.
Mm.
Uh, so there's people who something to look forward to for season two, guys. Violet is going to become a major character, and she shows up again the very next story, which I think, in my opinion, is my worst story of the season. Which again, not that I think any of them are bad, but I don't think it's as good as it could have been.
Mm.
Uh, and
Is that the date
however,
night story?
yes.
Yes.
However, the best part of that story were Sean's interactions with Violet. So,
Mm.
you know, it's not so. It wasn't because of Violet that it went bad. The point is that Rewcastle Manor Mystery is was a writing process that was really difficult for a story that I'm glad was uh, apparently for some reason a hit as a result, and now that is going to pay significant dividends in the future of the Pinkerton's Ghost universe. It
Pinkerton's
gets Sean
ghosts.
involved in the larger Masonic subplot,
Mhm.
which is going to be a theme of the entire series, actually. Uh,
Right.
and it gets the character of it introduces the character of Violet,
Mhm.
and it was also kind of a turning point in Sean's character, under a little bit under the radar, but that was to that point in the series the most competent that we had ever seen Sean. He kind of takes control of the Rewcastle Manor scenario in a really direct way, and comes across, I think, looking very heroic.
Sure.
But yeah, that's. I have more to say about the writing of it, but Ken, I'll let you go first.
Well, just because we had talked about it, and I realized, it makes no sense for me to just parrot on and say, yeah, no, Rewcastle Manor was absolutely great. If I say that, the conversation kind of stops on Anthony's stories because we've already had a very extensive conversation as to how Rewcastle Manor happened. So, even though that is technically my favorite, my second favorite, that's still an excellent story that we have yet to talk about is The Man Who Has Nothing.
Yeah, I only mentioned it in passing. That's
Yep.
true.
I
So
thought it was
for
fantastic. It was great. It was great. It's a Wonderful Life fan fiction. Um, it's a common story, but you took the direction of it very well. It was a great growing moment for Sean as a character. We got to see some of his backstory that we hadn't been exposed to yet, as well as to realize, from my perspective as a listener, it was absolutely the turning point where Sean himself made the choice to sacrifice for the job, essentially, to sacrifice for what he knew was right, and
oh
that's
yeah,
why I really
that
like that story.
uh oh, first off, I'll say what I was going to say about Rewcastle Manor is that you might remember Ken, you might remember it from the chat, or you might not. I don't know because I know I
Yeah,
mentioned it there.
it's
But the
hard for me to
plot
remember
of
anything these
Rewcastle Manor
days.
Mystery, yeah, that's fine. But the plot of Rewcastle Manor Mystery was literally the exact same as the plot of a Sherlock Holmes story. The
Right.
Sherlock Holmes story was called The Copper Beeches.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great story, by the way, which I recommend on its own merits. But the fun fact here is that Ben and I, we were going to use that plot as a springboard to
Right.
create the story. You know, creepy manor house, right? Mystery going on there. Gangers are involved and things like that. Uh, Here's the fun part. The fun part is when Ben and I sat down to plot out Rewcastle Manor Mystery, we probably spent like an hour and a half or so, I would say, something like that,
More like
plotting out
3.
more like three. Well, yeah, an hour and a half though in between talking about other things though. So I would say about half
Fair.
of that was spent on the story. So if however three total. Going over Rewcastle Manor Mystery and the conclusions that we came to almost every single time, like without fail, were just do what Conan Doyle did in the original story. Like, and
Ugh.
we would try and think of other ways we could spin it too. Like, we put effort into plotting it. You know, we did some serious legwork, but every time it's just like, you know what Conan Doyle did the first time was probably the best decision. The biggest example of this is what to do with the dog at the end of the story, who attacks them.
Mhm.
There is a dog in the original story,
Right.
and we were discussing if we should even have a dog, whether it was necessary to the story or not, if we did, what we should do with it, if we should take it out. And then finally, after hours of discussion, we came up with the idea that it should attack at the end and that
Mhm.
somehow Sean should kill it and it should be like the final boss
Right.
that we mentioned kind of as a Chekhov's gun earlier.
Right.
And that is exactly what Conan Doyle does in the actual Copper Beeches story. He mentions the dog. The dog doesn't show up until the very end. And in the Copper Beaches story, he doesn't jump down a flight of stairs into a burning house, but Holmes shoots him.
Right.
Also, the mystery in the original Copper Beaches story, by the way, has to do with like they are they hire this governess because they believe because her hair looks very similar to the hair of their daughter, who they're keeping like imprisoned in the basement, and they're trying to discourage her lover or something by displaying her in the window. It's just that the beats of the story ended up being the same. The names also are the same, by the way. Rue Castle is the name of the villain in the story, and Violet Hunter is the name of the client in the Copper Beaches.
Oh, well done.
But it's
So
in the public domain.
it is.
That's right.
It's completely in the public domain. So I can admit this with no guilt.
Very well done.
uh, Now, as for the man who has nothing, I wrote that relatively quickly. Actually, I had the idea for it for a while. You mentioned it's like Wonderful Life fanfic, and it's true. It draws upon It's a Wonderful Life, and it draws upon A Christmas Carol, and the time bendy, delve into the past type stuff that goes on in the Christmas Carol, and it draws on particularly the title comes from a comic book,
Hmm.
a Superman comic book called For the Man Who Has Everything.
Oh, yes, yes.
So the in the Superman comic For the Man Who Has Everything, the comic is about, and it was turned into an episode, by the way, of Justice League Unlimited, that reportedly Alan Moore this was an Alan Moore comic, and reportedly it's the only thing that Alan Moore ever liked enough that was an adaptation of his work that he allowed them to put his name on it. So uh, the For the Man Who Has Everything episode is about it's Superman's birthday, and Batman has a comment, "What do you get for the man who has everything?"
Right.
And when they find Superman, he's in a some sort of lotus eater machine, like I think some sort of flower is infecting him or whatever. Where he's in a universe where Krypton is still around, and his parents are alive, and he has a wife and a child there.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and the story is just about how he breaks free of the Lotus Eater world,
Right.
and briefly Batman gets stuck in it as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming for
So
him, it's his parents are still alive.
yeah, exactly. So I just took the idea of, well, Sean is not somebody who has everything. Sean is somebody who is, like all Pinkertons, not making a particularly large amount of money,
Yeah,
and
he's
not doing particularly well for himself.
right.
And also, Sean is divorced.
Right.
So, really, like, there is a lot you could theoretically tempt Sean with, right?
Yeah, true.
So, you know, in theory, there should be a lot on Sean that if you wanted to tempt Sean with the ideal life,
Hmm.
it should be pretty easy to do so. So
Right.
that's what the story was about. It was taking that idea, but instead of, what do you get for the man who has everything, and making it like, he has all of these things, but what he really wants is a family. It's more that, Sean is somebody who basically has nothing. So why is he, if he can get out of this life,
Right.
why would he even stay?
Right.
Right? And the answer that I came to, I also tried to make it a little bit different than normal,
Mhm.
where I make a point in the story of saying very early on, Sean dismisses the idea of being a Pinkerton makes the world a better place.
Mhm.
Like, he thinks it over. He says, what about, is it because, should I go back because of all the people I'm helping as a Pinkerton? And then he thinks and he goes, no, well, the Pinkertons are an organization. I mean, if it wasn't me, somebody else would take the role. I don't need to do it.
Mhm.
Like, there are other things, not to mention there are other things I could do that are good things. Like, so why should I go back? Like, it's a serious question. And which is the idea that I was trying to convey there. Like, that the choice that Sean was making, um, obviously it's not, but it was a real choice in the sense that if Sean had decided to stay, it wouldn't have like broken the timeline or anything.
Right.
And it was not a necessarily evil thing to not be a Pinkerton.
Sure.
Like, being a Pinkerton isn't some, you know, the only good thing a man can do. The answer that I ended up coming to was that actually Sean would really be a pretty terrible person if things had swung differently. Like that, he had to be brought down to a very low state to become the man that he becomes when the Paranormal Pinkertons, you know, when he joins the Paranormal Pinkertons. And he had to get brought down to this. He had to get brought down and stripped of everything, and his wife leaves him. He becomes an alcoholic. All of this stuff has to happen where he's totally humbled. And then that is what causes him, and he goes back to the church as well, is a big part of it. So that's what ultimately convinces him, I can't live this life, because if I live this life, then I'm benefiting, and I'm doing this, and I'm living this way in a way that I know is wrong, that I know isn't moral, and that I know better now because of my experiences before and after I became Pinkerton.
Mm-hmm.
So
Very
that was
cool.
the idea behind it, and it was also it was definitely very intentionally the Christmas episode because I did have Wonderful Life in mind and Christmas Carol in mind. In the comments, we have Cordell Mitchell asked, "Do you guys have anything you're reading, watching at the moment, and do you recommend it?" Yes, I am watching the anime Odd Taxi. It's about a taxi driver and who gets mixed up in this mystery. A girl goes missing, and then he shows up in a selfie with the criminal who might have something to do with the girl's disappearance. And then it follows in the several different characters as they sort of intersect. As they sort of intersect on this mystery of what happened to the girl and her disappearance, and they all kind of are connected through his taxi, and he gets wrapped up in the case as the gangster is worried that he knows things that he's not supposed to, so they steal his data, and the police are corrupt. Odd Taxi is really good. It's a slow burn that slowly improves, I think. It has a fantastic OP. I really recommend it.
I'm reading.
Ken, or Ben, either one.
Ben, you started first.
Yep. I am rereading through the Castle of Otranto in preparation to work through some sort of a series I've been going through around like kind of inspirations for horror that I think are a little bit underserved. The problem with like BookTube is that if you're not an attractive woman and you're not like part of the I only, do the best, most trashy teen literature crowd. It's kind of going to be difficult, but the point is to write essays that I'll eventually turn into a book later, and I really should be turning into a blog now. So, don't worry about that part. Anyway.
Pay no attention behind the curtain.
Exactly. It's all men behind the curtain for me. oh no, I didn't mean to say that. Anyway.
You didn't hear that. You didn't hear that.
Anyway. All I want to see behind the... Oh, no, I take it back. No. How about you, Ken?
Well, TV-wise, I've been watching through Invincible on Amazon Prime. It's an interesting series. It's kind of like The Boys in that it is a gritty superhero, kind of anti-superhero thing. But unlike The Boys, it's not like all supers are evil. It's just kind of focused on one who is hilarious. It's some of the best acting I've seen in American animation because they're real actors. They're not, they're not dime a dozen dubbers like myself pretending to be actors with bad directors trying to do
an actor in my heart.
Aw, thanks. But I'm, of course, mocking anime dubs and the fact that Anthony likes them so much. These are real actors. Oh, that's right. I forgot you like them too, Ben. Well, no one's got taste anymore. No one's got taste.
You
this is some real.
you'd take a dubbing job in a second. Don't pretend otherwise.
I absolutely would. And I would also say at the end of it, and I would also say by the time I was finished, dubbing is a terrible, terrible way to watch anime. That said, Invincible, really good acting. It's not. It's. I'm struggling with whether or not it's superversive or not, purely because I know that's part of our shtick. Some aspects of it are kind of superversive. There is some definite, the definite feeling of repenting for the sins of the father throughout the whole thing. But and even though there is an undercurrent of, we'll call it post-racial harmony, it's not like you're being shoved. There's no SJW message shoved in your face. There is no, men are evil, white guys are evil, pervade throughout the entire thing. It's more like just trying to tell a story. And while yes, race exists, it's not. There never has been. There doesn't feel like there's a victimizer mentality throughout the whole thing. So that's it. I'd call it relatively superversive.
That's
But
fair.
also lots of great action, great violence, incredible acting, good music,
Great memes.
great memes.
Think.
Think, Dave.
I know that Post Insanity Digibro talked about Invincible, but I didn't watch the review.
Eh.
I don't know about him. Digibro just doesn't interest me anymore, so I didn't watch it. I
He
imagine
shouldn't
the Critical
interest you.
Drinker is going to. If the Critical Drinker hasn't already talked about it, I'm sure he will at some point, because he really likes The Boys. And I would say season 1 was very good. Season 2 kind of took a skew left. But season 1, decent. The thing is, with Invincible, yes, it's got huge amounts of violence. Like, you're not just seeing blood, you're seeing guts. It's pretty disturbing. The closest thing to sex they get is like the kind of stuff you'd see in a 1990s sitcom. So it's pretty tame that way. Yes, there is some cursing, but it's not like, Billy Butcher using the synonym that rhymes with runt over and over and over again.
That's fair.
I don't know that reference.
So in The Boys, the main character uses a lot of very profane British
Yeah.
curses.
So, if you don't mind, think, Jackmorrow, think. I'm an immortal demigod. Did you think that you could just shoot me enough times that I'll finally die? I'm a literal
All right.
mortal demonic being.
Wait a minute. That meme is from Invincible?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
I
I didn't know that.
episode. You need to watch it. You need to watch it.
I'll give it a
Because
shot if I have time.
because
I
that
really
line,
will, but I want to watch Odd Taxi.
there's 10 episodes for Invincible. It's great, and that line that sponsors the whole memes, some of the best animation acting I have ever seen.
Yep.
Both from J.K. Simmons and from the kid who plays his son. I don't remember the actor's name.
It's pretty amazing. So this deserves like an entire video, but there was an amazing top of the line American animation industry going into the 90s, and they let it die until recently.
That is true. There were some great came out.
Like, it gives me hope because they were starting to get some serious shows going. Like Batman the Animated Series, sure, that was kind of like the forerunner. But the biggest one Spielberg produced, and forgive me for mentioning his name on stream, was Invasion America. It is.
I know that.
It ran for one season. It hasn't even gotten a DVD release. Like, it's literally, they made it, they sunk millions into it, they advertised it, didn't do anything with it. And it was about this kid. Basically, his dad hides this kid out with his mother. Half human. It's basically Invincible, except with the aliens aren't Supermen. All right. I will say that Invincible is probably more on the subversive side of things than anything else. The only thing that keeps it head above water is the fact that its main hero is like genuinely a hero.
Yeah.
Not that I've seen it, I just know enough about it because I do that. But like Invasion America, like the kid like comes to his own. He starts realizing it. They have fantastic Lotus Eater episode. They have these fantastic side villains. They have these little alien inspired dog things that hunt people down and kill them. Decent CGI for the times, decent space battles, and it flopped because America viewed it as like kind of like, oh, it's a kid show.
Mm,
No, it wasn't a kid show. It's an X-Files alien style thriller
mm,
with you know, human characters fighting over the fate of Earth. Like
right.
they start dropping asteroids on Earth. You know, with their own moon base, like its moon is a harsh mistress. Like it's one of those things that's so frustrating. But it was like a mature, top tier, you know, people bled, had relationships, all that jazz. Show that Invincible basically is, except everyone loves it this time, probably because they're primed for it with anime and crap.
Yeah. Yeah, typed into the zeitgeist. Ben, I'm just going to say real quick, your audio is coming in really loud. Maybe step a little bit away from the mic.
Sure thing.
It feels like you're swallowing a little bit.
A little bit. I tend to start swallowing it when I get emotional. Is this better?
Yeah.
Bradford Walker remembers it.
It's actually not better. It's actually just it's as bad as it was.
I have pushed it away about a foot. Let's push it a little more. Is this better?
A little better, yes. Also, it could be on Discord. You might have your gain up pretty high on your microphone.
I kind of have to.
Uh,
So it's like I've got bad audio programs, but I can't seem
Sure.
to be able to replace them, and I don't know why. I've
Sure.
tried. So it's like it just kind of varies, and I don't know the rules for why it varies. So
Discord, I can't figure out. With all of my limited expertise that I've really only gained through experience and nothing else, I cannot figure that stupid thing out.
yeah. Anyway, I will. I'm keeping my mic away from my mouth, and I assume the chat is Bradford Walker remembers Invasion America. I actually have tapes from the VHS that I refuse to throw away that have it recorded on it. But fortunately, people have transferred it onto the internet, and thus it is now immortal.
That's right. Until the internet dies, which is possible.
Oh, it's certainly possible. But point is that you know it's somewhere. It's somewhere.
Sure. Absolutely. After books, I'm reading Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson, and I think it's interesting. The first book was probably the best. I'm on book 3 at the moment, and it's okay. But book 1 was absolutely fantastic. He introduced an exciting new world with a whole bunch of fantastic world building, some great characters, lots of history. Book 2, he pretty much focused on one of the most boring characters I've ever read about at any point ever, and he made a female self-insert character
Duh.
she's oh so witty, but she's shy, and it's just dude, please stop writing about her. Nobody likes her. And now in book 3, you have her again, but she's playing a super secret spy who is gradually descending into madness because she can't keep her various spy personas separate.
That's dumb.
It's so terrible still.
I would
But
not.
you've got one character for it. Oh, sorry, continue.
I get you. I would not have gotten that far. The second I hear female self-insert, I just check out immediately.
The only reason I kept reading it is because there are some really good male characters in it, and I want to see him build them up so that they're at least as good as, you know, terrible female self-insert.
Ken, he's never going to do it.
I think you're probably right, and it makes me so mad. Brandon Sanderson, stop being a simp. Nobody wants to hear about somebody that's witty.
I'm not really reading a book right now, but I'm following 3 manga live. The manga are Spy Family, which is great. My Hero Academia, which had a bit of a lull after the war arc ended in the manga, and now has picked up again and is back to being great. This current fight between Deku and Lady Nakin in the manga is excellent. And Dr. Stone, which is also great.
Fantastic.
Dr. Stone.
Great minds
Yeah,
and all that.
Dr. Stone is completely insane. I gotta say, it's
No, Anthony,
definitely.
this isn't an anime stream.
Exactly.
No, no.
I know.
Fingers
I
There.
know.
crossed.
I know. It was asked what we were reading, and those are what I am reading
Fair
currently.
enough. Fair enough.
Next week, so for a little sneak preview, next week we're gonna be rating reviewers. So
Oh
it's
Lord.
gonna be a rating people who rate things, and
Oh.
that's gonna be the title of the stream.
It's gonna be it's not gonna be as terrible as that sounds. It's more about gonna be an analyzing and out. Okay, fine. It is gonna be terrible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. David, are you still with us?
Yeah, what's up?
Why don't you give us your favorite Jackmorrow, Sean Russo, and Jim Donovan stories?
I don't think I want to break them down by folks, so I'm just going to give out my best favorites for Pinkertons in general.
I would no,
That means
you
you're
know,
gonna be a loser.
just give us one per character.
All right. Well, let's see.
If you
I
need
think
to go
I'm
off,
going to
let's
mention.
do that, 'cause
I'm also
I-
going to try and
Then
mention
Paralysis
ones that
wins.
didn't get as much hit, which is I really did like Geisterhounds a whole lot.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a good one. I agree.
The
That is a
style,
good
the
one.
ambiance, what Jack does when he meets a problem. He can't just happily murder his way through it. It was all great fun. Seeing him with the resourcefulness there.
We should re-listen to that one. It's been a while. That's one of the first stories.
I think it's the third one.
Yeah,
For Jackmorrow.
Right. I'm looking at it as episode 7.
I think my favorite of the Hollywood ones, the Hollywood series, was actually it's a small one, but I just really dug the one where he's dealing with the temp agency that's run by the acting agents. It's run by vampires because of course it is.
Right.
He just
Right.
went there and he met, well, if for folks that haven't seen it, he meets somebody there and it broadened kind of the depth of the character a bit. So it's one of his earlier ones, but I like the feel of it. And actually we saw a little bit more compassion in the guy than we usually do, where he's like, oh, look, here's another problem that's just gonna go away right away. Off in the craziness of the Pine Barrens, I gotta say my favorite one there is the one with the Grim, the Whirling Wimpus, and the Snarly Yow.
Grim Tidings,
Mm-hmm.
which did not take place in the Pine Barrens. Fun fact.
No, it was in Appalachia.
Yep.
Pine Barrens is his usual stomping ground, so he went off to Appalachia and found whole new cryptids to fight and hated him. But it aimed for and hit that kind of eeriness, where it's like you could almost communicate with the things of Altair, but then you discover it's the malevolence that's involved, just how bad it really is.
I'm glad that connected with you because that was the intention of that moment. I'm glad somebody noticed. So the idea that he talks to a creature. I got the idea from John C. Wright's Awaken the Nightland, specifically the Cry of the Night Hound.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you picked up on that because I didn't think anybody noticed.
Good stuff. Also just for the big ones, it's kind of in its own category. So it's not fair comparing a 2-hour episode with like a 30-minute episode.
Sure, that's true.
But Jack's mad dash through reality and unreality with the Unismasher in the Wild Hunt is just an absolute treat.
Absolutely.
It was
mine. My favorite.
it was so much fun to write.
Does that mean that Ben is the winner?
I mean, we always knew that'd be the case.
I mean, everyone got to
We
win.
did,
It's
yeah.
just you got to do a 2-hour special to compete in that. It's like it's different weight categories.
right.
So you don't expect the welterweight to compete with the heavyweights. And
Exactly.
so if you wanna compete in the next round against the heavyweights, you can put in a 2-hour special, and I'll weigh yours against his 2-hour special.
Well, I'm currently writing my 2-hour special at the
Yeah,
moment.
that's
Alright.
gonna happen.
Yep.
So on that
Got it.
topic,
Mhm.
let's do Ken. What will your 2-hour special be about? And then I'll talk a little about mine after you do yours.
Mine is going to be about the Norse god Loki. And
He's
at the
got his own
point,
cereal coming out too. So hey,
his own oh, you mean the Marvel one?
yes,
Yeah, my
it's good
Loki is
timing.
nowhere near. Yeah. That's the thing though. My Marvel Loki is way more demonic than
I mean, yeah,
Marvel. Because
not
remember,
played by Hiddleston.
well,
Okay.
yes, exactly. Yeah, we're not looking for some Disney merchandising opportunities here. Because remember, the Pinkerton's galaxy, Pinkerton's universe, are Greek gods and all that sort of thing. Our gods are demons. So
Yeah, they're all awful.
exactly. So Loki is, from what I've read or from what I've been writing thus far, it is on par in horror with Red Coal's Black Shadows. Yeah. It's there's a lot of creepy stuff I'm putting Loki into this thing.
All right, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I've had trouble sleeping the last few nights because of what I've been writing.
I mean, he always has to keep the rest of the family locked away. They're not invited for dinner back at the homestead, so
Well,
you how it is.
this has nothing to do with the rest of the Greek Norse gods, by the way. There's no Odin, there's no Thor, there's none of that stuff involved. It's a character that exists, and his trickster nature is prevalent, but you're not even going to find out his name. I'm calling him Loki purely for advertising purposes, but you're not even going to find out who he is until like the last 5 or 10 minutes of the episode.
Well, I mean, of course.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
going to keep it a secret until he can't help but boast about it later on.
Exactly. Exactly right.
I'm probably going to make you at least mention the name like before 30 seconds are up, just to hit that sweet YouTube ad revenue bot thing. Yeah, bot revenue.
Like I said, it's a good timing for it. So putting that in the title of it, like it's a good time to do something like that and get a few clicks.
Sure.
Because there's going to be everyone looking at the series coming up and be like, oh.
Yeah.
And they'll listen to them, but this isn't much like the Marvel Loki.
Loki? Homo racist. This thing's awful.
So
By the way,
yeah.
I was just saying. By the way, lest you're worried, when I say Loki is a horrible racist, I'm not by any means. I mean he just hates humans. That's pretty much where I'm going with this.
He's speciesist.
That's right. He's a speciesist.
He's kind of if he's the mythic one, he'd be conflicted because he's giant origin.
Well, you got to remember,
of course, here they're all fallen angels that are like taking on human form and
exactly.
playing masquerade. So yeah, no, he's probably like ugh. And then the universe took on form. Ridiculous.
That's a good one.
We were made to bow before the children of mud. Exactly.
I approve of everything that's being talked about. As a good editor, writer, whatever, producer, whatever you want to call me, should.
Yes. I don't know. How about Story God?
Huh?
You're the Pinkertons Go Story God.
Yeah.
That's your title.
I feel nervous calling Ben God.
Yeah, that's not happening.
No, he's an Old Testament judge.
There you go.
Judge.
Much better.
Oh, there you go. Actually, I like that, David, because it's very historical.
Yes.
And it's common enough that people grasp what a judge is.
Mhm.
but it's just distinct enough.
And it's also not blasphemy.
Right.
Exactly.
It was a lowercase g. You're overreacting.
We can't hear the lowercase. No, I'm kidding. We can hear the lowercase.
So my story. First off, Ken has way more details on his because his is coming out first. So mine will be, I guess, a few months after Ken's. I don't know. I don't know. We'll decide eventually. But uh, I've been calling them Uber stories, just the super
Sure.
long length ones. My Uber story is going to be about Sean gets trapped into a Narnia-like fantasy world.
Right.
Wardrobed over, and there is some sort of prophecy that requires Sean to like save the world, and he needs to get back. He needs to save the day in the Narnia fantasy world and then get back. And the idea behind the story is I want it to feel like and now for something completely different type of, genre twist.
Right.
Like you're reading like suddenly you're reading Chronicles of Narnia or some sort of high fantasy. Not that it's going to be a children's story necessarily, but it's going to be in that, old-fashioned fairy tale style. So
Right.
I don't want it to be like Lord of the Rings necessarily, which is, high epic fantasy. I want it to be in the more old-fashioned, type of like, I don't know, Lord Dunsany, George MacDonald, and Narnia-ish fantasy world, and it's going to be like I don't know I don't know the details yet in the way that Ken does, but it's gonna be something like, he gets called over like in the same way that Susan had the magic horn. Somebody's going to call over, they need a hero from the other world, and Sean gets pulled in, and then he needs to resolve the conflict.
Right.
It's the Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, if Edmund had a 22 rifle.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And the reason I'm
Only
starting
a
minor, of
child of
course.
Adam can just solve
story
the
lasts
dispute
5
here.
minutes.
Fine.
Exactly. And of course, the reason why I'm starting minor is because, I have less experience with writing than Anthony and Ben, so it takes me a little bit longer to go through, a 15,000 word story.
You say that.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
I mean,
Yeah, Ben knocks out in like 2 days. Me, it's taking 2 weeks.
I only mention. I'm really only laughing because I know, not for me. That's
Well,
wicked.
because
I'm
Ben
sorry.
could write it if Ben wanted to, he could write it within a couple of days.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I would probably write it about as slowly as you, but you're putting your story out before me.
Fair. This is true.
I mean, if I were putting it out at the same time you were, then I would be writing it now. But
Right.
I'm not. So.
Fair.
And I
game.
really need to focus on the first story. So.
Right.
Just to give you an idea, like I don't talk about my personal life and I intend to keep up that very official policy of the channel, but I had a busy week and did not have time to get anything done, and I really need to do that. So, that's priority number 1.
Sure.
Uber story is like priority number 3 or 4 on the list. I actually had a list. I had an actual priority list that I showed to Ben the other day. And Uber story is like 4 on the list or something like that. So.
Hey, you're organized.
That's right. Better than I am. I like it. You're a teacher. It makes sense.
Kind of organized. I'm not as organized as I should be. Yeah, I'm laughing because otherwise I'd be crying.
Yes. I know that well.
Is there any other writing projects folks have coming down the line?
I do have my own short story. I'm starting to Uber story. I'm starting to think of, which is Jackmorrow Children's Hospital, which is something I've been implying, but I don't dare work on it because it would shame my writers if I began working on it and finishing it.
Yes, this is true.
And
keep our egos intact. It's part of the
That's
job.
right. I mean, I'm an actor. My ego is fragile enough as is.
I know. I have to feed him grapes every time I
Ah.
make even a copy edit. It's like, oh no, this isn't. Come on,
That's
it's like I'm stroking his beard, feeding him a grape. Oh no.
That's right. It's okay, Ken. You're great. Everyone loves you.
Great kid, everyone loves you. It'll be fantastic.
It's right.
And then like they go out into the hallway and start talking trash about him or something.
Don't wait to go into the hallway. I know how this game's played.
What
I've
was
been
the
here
one
long.
where you talked about how only the cheap faux rococo wall of the Hollywood cemetery saved his life as it gave away when he got thrown through it?
Cool story.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was so good. Just the atmosphere is fantastic, man.
oh, thank you. Yeah, no, it's. I wanted to keep it as real to that cemetery as I could because it's a really cool cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
But plus
Only
that
horror
was my.
writers-
Say what?
Only us horror writers understand that there is such a thing as a cool and not cool cemetery.
Yes, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
No,
The first
no.
one, very
It's
cool.
it's not even that. I mean, you can find nasty, poorly kept up ones.
Yes,
And there's plenty that are just, quite pretty and neatly kept. So
exactly.
people can go and grieve and memorialize and all this kind of stuff. I mean,
Exactly.
we got people that are driving all over the country now, go into memorial services or coming back from them. So,
Sure. It's good to keep them someplace that's interesting.
it's usually find the stuff's usually people take a lot of care to make it all very dignified.
Right.
It's an aberration when it looks twisted and messed up, and that's I think actually now that I'm thinking about it, this is probably why it was such an effective horror trope when it came out, because it is an aberration to see something like that. It is it's morally wrong, and it's an offense to basic decency to see a memorial or a resting place unkempt,
Sure.
treated like that.
Right.
And so if anybody saw that, like you could go back to the black and white era of the 50s when they had the movies, and you saw a place like that, it meant something was wrong. Like we're not even talking supernatural problem. We're talking there's something wrong with the people or the town or whatever it is that would
Right.
let something like that happen.
Right.
And now it's just sort of assumed, and I think that like in a horror movie they'll look like that, and I think it's sort of been overused to the point that it's lost some of its potency because we
Sure.
don't
We don't
think
remember
about
why.
it.
Yeah. It's a good point. I like that. I hadn't considered that.
St. Louis has cemeteries all over the place. I can navigate the city cemeteries, and I can absolutely agree to everything David's talking about. The idea of just living next to or like walking distance from an unkempt cemetery is an absolute horror show in and of itself.
Across the street from my high school was and is even now a cemetery, and we didn't have a track. Our track team did not have anywhere to practice. So
Oh no.
to do miles, we would run laps around the cemetery.
Ooh.
Okay, at least it was around.
Yeah, right now through.
Not through, around.
Just all right, kids. Remember, if the zombies get you, you sign the release forms.
That's right. Your parents can't sue us because you didn't run fast enough.
Exactly.
So, David, since you're here with us, we do have our next episode, the first Blood Money of the Blood Money trilogy. See the shocking origins of the villainous Blood Money. Because one person actively and unironically described me as a bad carnival barker or a game show host, which I can totally believe. It's on the list.
Sure.
It's on the list.
More old Tom coming up.
Yep, and it's going to be kind of middle-aged Tom at this point.
Yeah.
Mm,
And he's gonna
He's
be
still active and dealing with ulcers and that kind of stuff.
yeah.
sure. Ulcers are an old people disease, even though I've had them.
Werewolves are causing his ulcers. So he's
Right, exactly.
Sean.
Fair.
It's because I ate that werewolf. You ate a
Yeah.
werewolf? Oh, come on. He was
mean-
transformed.
It was him or me.
That's right.
Sometimes they think that you won't bite back. You gotta show them the stuff.
Gotta communicate in the only language they understand.
Can't let
It
them
was on a
show
mountain.
weakness.
It was on a mountain. We were hungry. He was dead. It's fine.
Who's still a werewolf, No human
I just had
honor.
to shave him a little bit.
Was that?
Just had to shave him a little bit because you don't want to eat the fur.
So apparently, people tell me it's unnatural to eat the fur off of a kiwi.
What?
Huh?
I love eating the fur on kiwis. It's fantastic.
It's amazing. Apparently,
It
they're
is.
full of insect eggs.
Oh God.
Ooh.
Oh,
Like
Uh.
the thing is that like
Nice.
that doesn't stop me because you wash
Well,
them
sure.
anyway. So it's like
Right.
they're not. I've never seen anything lay an egg on a kiwi.
and I hope to never do so.
Yep,
Now,
yep.
if you want a real horror show, look up the life cycle of the date tree.
Nope, I'm good.
You'll never eat dates. You'll never have figs again.
To be fair, I don't like figs. They've never
Alright.
interested me.
All right, that would kill it if you did.
Let's see here.
Anytime someone says life cycle of something, it always.
Dang, nature, you scary.
That's right.
So, for Ken and Anthony, what episodes are you looking forward to writing for season 2?
Anthony, go for it. I gotta look for my notebooks. I can remember what I'm writing for season 2.
Good question. I'm looking forward, honestly, to our season 2 finale episode.
Oh yeah, cop out, but yeah, absolutely, that's going to be a good episode.
Cop out? You think so?
A little bit.
All right. So outside of that,
Yes.
yeah, much like Ken, I actually don't remember them off the top of
Oh,
my
my
head,
goodness.
except for the time travel episode that I'm working on.
Right.
The time travel episode, however, I am not looking forward to writing. I am dreading writing it because it's a pain in the ass, takes a ton of research, and it's not gonna be fun.
Excellent.
But the audience will love it.
I'm actually
They
looking
better
forward
love
to
it.
that from Sean. They better. I'm actually
Yeah.
looking forward to that from Sean too, because we do have a bunch of episodes, sort of planned out. For Jack, we have. Hold on, let me grab my notepad. No, I can do this from memory. The first episode is going to be pretty good. I have a puppeteer episode that's going to be pretty great. Jack is going to be trapped in a mall with the puppeteer, and you can just imagine how that's going to go for the both of them. Lastly, even though I did mock Anthony for it, I'm looking forward to the last episode that Jackmorrow is by himself, where I'm going. So every season, I want to have one puppeteer episode and one Jackmorrow is the monster episode, just because it fits the character and it keeps a thematic go through.
Right.
Any chance Jack is gonna say "I got no strings on me" song when he gets free of a puppeteer?
Oh, that feels very Jackmorrow-esque.
Oh, wait. I have an answer
Yeah.
for what I'm looking forward to. Now I thought of it. Trapped in a musical.
Oh,
Oh.
absolutely.
Oh.
Because everybody doubted me. I had to sell you all on this idea.
Still haven't sold me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
You
I
did.
still
still don't
haven't
wanna-
sold Ken. I still haven't sold Ken.
That's right.
It was
Because
just
you've.
me ranting like a crazy person, going, "No, this will work. This is a really funny idea." And Ken just there in the background going, "That sounds kind of gay." And I'm going,
Yes.
"No, trust me, it's great."
As your editor, I allow gay
Very
behavior.
heterosexual.
If you want to do gay, it's I won't judge. No, I'm kidding. I'll judge. But
Oh, you're like, no, I'm just kidding. I'll totally judge. Anyway.
yeah.
Grace gave us permission, so we're totally judging you.
Permission does not
It's
equal
gonna be
freedom from
great.
judgment. Actually,
Exactly.
I am looking forward to reading it and editing it, getting it put out there, just because I know it's going to be really fun, and we get to listen to Sean sing.
That's why I'm not looking forward to it, because it's going to be brutal on me trying to edit the
Oh
sound.
wow! It is good.
Well,
You're
it's
gonna
gonna be
actually put
super
music in.
funny.
Oh.
I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
no idea.
He
Ooh.
better.
So I actually have no idea how I'm going to do it. At
And it
the
better
very
be
least,
original.
I'm certainly going to write songs, so
Yeah,
there's going to be
yeah.
that.
I'm a
Will I
bass.
sing them? We'll
As
have
am
to
I.
find out.
I'll audition just for amusement.
There you go.
I had a
David,
lot of
you're in.
fun when we did the Dracula thing. So
That was great fun. I love that episode.
That was probably my favorite collaborative episode. Oh
Best
wait.
episode of season
yeah,
1. There you
I'll
go.
help a little bit just because it's so crazy.
The Gloria, which was so much fun.
So after we have old Tom's experiences with Blood Money and the Blood Money trilogy, another one that's in the pipeline
That I need to
is
edit. Ugh, sorry.
old Tom
Mm.
in The Mask of Silence.
Ooh.
So you guys have had so many episodes dealing with creepy wizards that I figured it was my turn. So he cracks open a cult, and I aim for maximum creepiness. So we'll see how it turns out.
Excellent.
Low key, I am. Oh, and I'm looking forward to that. I've got let's see here. I'm working on the third of several guest episodes for other people, other voice actors. I've got Sight for Sore Eyes, which has a Medusa. Mountains of the Drowned, which has a Rusalka drowning monster. And then I'm currently writing Grindel's Game, which is for the friend Miles Allen, who I hope accepts it because I understand he is a voice actor par excellence. And
Yes.
this will really stretch him out. I've also
I talked to him today at church, by the way, and he was very excited.
fantastic.
All right.
Yes.
I've got stories from Carolyn Furlong and Frank Luke that I need to finish up, polish off.
I like how they're pouring in for you, man.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm moving slower than I should because I accidentally forgot about Frank Luke and Carolyn Furlong until I was doing things because I got a lot of personal stuff in my life. Doesn't stop me from writing; it just stops me from interacting with other people. So it's yeah, that's what I'm going to do,
That's what I try and tell people too.
and then I'm going to do a fourth one, which is probably going to be involving vampires for somebody else who may or may not come.
Right.
It's just more. It's like one of those things. Like it's like once the story's written, I can sit, or in the process of actually writing, I consider it more fun. I'm also starting to mentally play around with Tommorrow versus the Obscura Corps.
Such a good name.
I know, right?
I want to buy the book. Tommorrow versus the Obscura Corps. Done. It's as pulp as you could get.
Yes.
You need like action letters that look like they're flying at you.
Yes. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to have me do the.
Yeah, you need like an echoing voice and like maybe a little bit of like epic music in the background. Dun dun dun.
That's right. Yes. But it's gonna be the classic radio.
Oh
yeah,
hell yeah.
yeah.
Ben, excuse me, because of like possible language barriers limitations. But Ben, you got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have like the 40s and 50s pulp
Yes.
section of Pinkertons, and it's the adventures of Tommorrow. And you make it up like, you know, like a newsreel or like a full-on 1950s audio thing, like, when last we left Tommorrow.
And then, of course, you got to get today on the news.
You know,
Tommorrow.
Tommorrow was last seen fighting Dr. Megavolts
That's right.
atop the burning Zeppelin.
Rescuing a beautiful dame. That's right.
He had just defeated the giant Nazi robot that was shaped like a gorilla.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Afterwards, he flew across the Atlantic and punched Hitler square on the kisser.
Hitler's clones.
And then escaped in his personal gyrocopter. And
That's right. With him and his fair damsel, Miss Sally.
Yeah, there has to be the dame. Like, that's
right,
a requirement.
always. Yes.
Most women have enough sense to stay away from Pinkertons and the lifestyle that they lead, but like this would be the 40s and 50s where it would just be like, ooh,
but they didn't have
action.
Sense. Exactly.
Well,
yes.
like, it's good and bad.
I'm just kidding, but yes, I agree.
I mean, it turns out like Jackmorrow is a human killing machine, which is the perfect thing to defend a family.
Oh, of course.
But
perfect thing to defend a family. Don't know how emotionally available he'll be, but
They're actually I do have their family dynamics plotted out because I want to do it very careful. Jackmorrow and his eventual wife are going to be incredibly dysfunctional people, but at the same time,
wife. That's a spoiler.
Oh yeah.
Basically, it's going to be how do I want to put it?
Oh, no.
It's kind of like I need to balance out like the fact that they're both incredibly paranoid quasi schizophrenics.
He picks her up at the Night Flyer bar and grill, doesn't he?
No, she's actually a victim in the Wild Hunt.
Okay.
So like Jackmorrow is the only living human to have won the Wild Hunt of his generation.
Right.
Other people have done it in other generations, but in the 21st century, he's the only one who's won a Wild Hunt. Other people have survived it. Either they put enough gunpowder between them and whatever's trying to kill them. It also kind of helped that Jackmorrow was kind of like a postseason championship game. So he was like, there are these other people, squads of soldiers, assassins, Yakuza, and stuff like that. And there was usually 1 to 3 events that they had to overcome or survive or escape.
Now for the final heat, Jackmorrow.
That's right.
The betting pool is going wild and the teams are all here. What would you say are your chances with Jackmorrow? I will crush him. I have never forgotten what he has done to my kind. He will pay as all mortals will. Wow, that's some blue team's really fired up. Now, let's hear about Athena. Look, I'm only in this to score a few points. It's really kind of beneath me.
Exactly.
I should be worshiping me instead. Okay, and on to our next contestant.
It was kind of like that. Like I do like playing the elves up as decadent and viewing us mortals as entertainment.
Right.
Just because it hits the right keynotes for how they view us. We are cattle, we are kind, and if we do something amusing, it's all the better.
Right.
But so the third sort of Uber episode will be, I'm going to call it Wild Hunt All-Stars. And it's going to be like an international crew having to trot across the United States while being pursued by various monsters and events. I'm going to bring back some old characters from season 1 and other things like that. Just I've got this great idea for a voodoo land shark that I'm going to play around with. It's going to be great.
There's 2 things actually you could do with the whole international scene. Like, even though it's focused on America, it's always interesting to see guests once in a while. So yeah, the idea of like what are the other sort of investigator teams like as they come here, and you can also play up kind of like the friction and rivalry between them. Right. And you can do another one, which is like Pinkerton's Globetrotters or something, where they're like hunting down a menace, and they have to go all over the place to deal with it.
Kind of like Larry Craig did with the Monster Hunter that was in Vegas. I can't remember what style that was, but it was great.
Well, that was so over the top, that would have to be a season finale.
Well, yeah, agreed.
That thing was nuts. I don't want to spoil anything. But
well, even though it's been, 10 years?
Yeah, but still, like, there's probably people that haven't read the Amazing Monster Hunter series, and those people need to read the Amazing Monster Hunter series.
Absolutely, you do.
With the that sort of thing. Like the I'm unfortunately gonna shoot a little bit down. The Pinkertons ghosts are never gathering in one place ever again.
Good.
Like there's gonna be some training and stuff like that, and there's
Ooh.
gonna be like international meet and greets. But
Right.
like the Pinkertons ghosts are essentially now going to be so disorganized, so like separated from one another that no one can ever take them down again.
Right.
And
They
that's
just go hypercellular.
right.
Right.
So like I do have some like end of the world plot lines sort of set up. And like so when like all the groups are coming in, they have their uniforms. The Pinkertons ghosts just kind of saunter in one at a time. Except like if you look at them, they're not like any sort of uniform, but they're armed to the teeth. Like you have some dudes who are armed like Jinro, the Wolf Brigade, with like scary, shiny red lights and stuff like that because they've got these suits souped up by Jim. You know, like they've only brought one can of ammo for the 50 for the Ma Deuce, and like, but it's like, what is it? It's got a portal in it. Like it's
The
like
brownie will never die.
right. It's like it's like the most hodgepodge janky thing you've ever seen, but they're armed to the teeth and they'll hold their own. Like I've got various plot lines I want to pull through. Like I want to explore Jack's character. How does he interact with things that aren't evil monsters? How does he interact with this or that? Like I had a joke, I had a couple like throwaway things in Nighthawk Rider, including Slimy Hagar, a slime girl, and a Lamia who was running a pawn shop that Jackmorrow sometimes goes to for information. That's run by a living teddy bear. It's it's one of those things where it's like there's a whole society going on that's neither like elf or demon, and it's like half in the world of men. Because men won't see like a 30-foot long Medusa. They'll see a woman who's like prowling around the side and they'll wander off because they don't want to mess with that. It's only when they get too close or she jumps on them that they'll see her for what she really is. So it's like I have this story idea that I'll do in the third season, where it's like these like one of the common tropes is dogmen.
Mm.
So I'm gonna have like a mother and her three pups, and Jackmorrow will have to decide whether to save them or sell them off into the security commission or something else with them. And the key moment is going to be where the mother is going to ask for mercy for her pups and like throw herself between her and her monstrous get. And it will cause Jackmorrow pause because these monsters, these things of the night, are absolutely evil. They don't even protect their own children. In fact, they view children as a fuel source. Um, and this is true. Like I literally before the stream went on was looking at an article where a government school in I think Canada that was designed to help native Canadians, I guess we'll call them First
Mm.
Nations. Actually, I prefer the term First Nations, even though it's SJW is crap. Just because
Yes.
saying Native Americans is completely stupid.
I
Uh,
prefer Amerindians because it annoys everybody.
Amerindians.
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that. Amerindians, where Canadian Indians, where
That'll work.
basically they found the corpses of 215 children over the course of the school's 200-year existence, and it closed up sometime in the late 60s, I think.
Mm.
But it was like children are not protected by the Otrater, by the powers that be, by the Empire that never fell, which is something Vox is talking about now.
Mm.
Where it's like the secret empire, the Frankfurt School moving from country to country,
Right.
except it's not just the Frankfurt School, it's the Habsburgs, or I don't know if he includes the Habsburgs in that, but like
I'm
it's
sure he
these
probably does.
Eh,
it's these people that rule far more than they should, but the
Mm.
intrinsic like the eunuchs, the mandarins move from spot to spot as the global power changes.
Right.
And there's other sides to it. There's the Russian side, the Chinese side, and there'll be more sides that come out as time goes on because because someone pointed out that small brush fire wars kind of prevent their forming because it keeps things too chaotic to rule and too separated to amalgamate into empire. So it's like, you know, our characters are and will and have been fighting ultimate evil. You know, I imply it very much in Jackmorrow's episode with his mother that his mother was very underage when she had Jackmorrow. You know, it's and it's like one of those things. It's like I want to play it up. It's not that Jeremiah Pike, Jackmorrow's dad, was like, "Oh, a kid, I can abuse this." It was more like, "Oh, a kid, her star signs mean I can sacrifice her baby child." You know, if I have him born before Aquarius disappears from the night sky, you know, and achieve immortality through a foul pact with Molech. You know, like it's beyond just pleasure. It's to evil, and it's to the continuance of evil at all costs, by any means.
You know, we like happy stories in the Pinkerton's Ghost universe.
Oh yeah, we do. Fantastic. But that's the stakes though. In both real life and in our Pinkerton's Ghosts,
Right.
our main themes are the fall and decline of America. Even though I won't go and point, you know, to a certain people or to a certain family or to, you know, this president or that president. You know, I name drop Bill Clinton in one of the stories, but it's like, you know.
Keep it big for you know.
He's entertainment. But it was back in the it was this it was a short story that's set like in 2000 something.
Right.
So it's like 10, 20 years previous to this. It's different. It would be something they mention. You know, it's like we can't point and say this is the evil villain who's running everything. American Dad has a hilarious joke where Karl Rove can't enter into churches because they burn him, you know, or Kissinger this sort of way or that sort of way. You know,
And Dr. Killinger, this is my magic mud bag.
So again, oh, yes, that's great.
You silly Billy. That's such. Every line of that guy is gold.
That is unfair. I did not choose my body type.
That's right.
But you know, we're not going into season 2, and then I'm gonna sort of wrap this up now. Then we'll let Ken. He's got a nice little book. If you could send me a link, actually, to Book of Feast of Seasons, I'll put it up in the
I
chat.
would be glad to.
Nice. You know, we've still got the promise of, you know, fighting evil, eradicating evil, even if it takes a couple seasons to get there. Even if I have to write, even if everything collapses and I have to write these novels in the skins of victims in the St. Louis riots or whatever, you know, you will see, you know, the end of Jeremiah Pike, where he's begging for an ounce more life as it seeps out of him, and he has to face his reward and all the punishments and cruelty he's ever done. And the same with the monsters and everything else. No one controls the pictures. I just have it on a random shuffle through one of my reference folders, specifically the horror one.
Anything could be in.
Oh no, I kept it out of the fetish folder where there's the thigh high and true love and girls eating sloppy burgers. You don't understand how adorable it is when they eat a massive burger, like anime girls eating massive burgers. It's as literal as I can make it. I find it compelling and adorable. But anyway. Anyway, like its evil will be paid back. Jackmorrow is sort of the incarnation of that idea, where he says, you know, as his personal motto, as his sort of like mantra, make them pay. I took it straight from Nick Cole's Galaxy's Edge, because I am a shill and a charlatan. But it's true. Ultimately, God makes them pay. But if they're sacrificing children to Moloch on the Bohemian Grove or whatever, you know,
might pay a whole lot sooner.
They might pay a whole lot sooner, and God isn't going to.
Up front.
And as long as we do it in a righteous sort of manner, not cruel, not, you know, torturous, it's not a moral evil to send them to their reward quicker. Because once you get to the child sacrificing stage, you're basically a psychopath, and psychopaths don't repent of their sin.
Usually.
Not usually. Sure, there's some miracles, but psychopaths are made, not born.
That's right.
Or sorry, psychopaths are born, not made. Sociopaths are made. And it's just like there's a lot of evil in the world, and it needs to be reminded that it'll be made to pay. Anyway, David, do you have any final words for us?
On other things, since he's going to be mentioning his Book of Feast of Seasons piece, that's great news to hear. I have book 2 of my Giant Bot series is starting to go into editing and production, so more crazy mech action in space. I aspire to be the leader of a double shrunken genre. I think I can do it.
If anyone can, it's you.
So
the Guardian series is pretty good. I've been watching it grow. And we'll probably have at least a link to it at some point when it comes out. Thank you very much, David. Anthony, what's your final word for us?
Get ready for some autistic spurging next week about anime reviewers.
Yeah.
I unfortunately will not be here for that, but I will be with you guys in spirit.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be here the following week.
Solid.
Speaking of this, you guys are like massive anime experts. At some point, we need to figure out what it takes to actually get something animated. It will probably crush my hopes and dreams, but I'm starting to think above my station again. So maybe it's.
I'm just gonna start emailing random anime studios with links to Pinkerton's Ghosts after running it through Google Translate into Japanese.
There we go. I like this.
Right. So Ken, I put the link up for Book of Feast of Seasons in the YouTube chat. Why don't you tell us about it?
Fantastic. Well, I was really honored to finally be able to work with John C. Wright on what is one of my favorite anthologies. I love this book. There are 9 great stories, one kind of weak one, but the rest of them I think are absolutely fantastic. You've got a Narnia substitute that. So basically, it's a book that is based around the Catholic feast calendar. You got the Annunciation, which I think was in January. You got the Ascension of Christ. You got Pentecost, which just happened not this Sunday but the previous Sunday, 7 days ago. And 7 days ago, the story for 7 days ago, one of my favorite stories in the book, top 3 easily, where he has a whole bunch of animals come together after the last man has been taken up into heaven to the kingdom of God, or the last man sent to his judgment, depending. And the animals are trying to figure out what happens to them next. And it's absolutely fantastic. I got to work with so many different voices, which because of the virus of unspecified origin, I was able to work on a lot of new voices with a voiceover instructor. And so this gave me an opportunity to expand my craft. There's also a great, excellent, I can't believe John hasn't written for Pinkerton's Ghost yet. Detective noir series or detective noir ghost story called Pale Realms of Shade, where a ghost tries to solve his own murder. And it is absolutely fantastic. It's spine-tinglingly chilly. One of the best depictions of the devil I've ever seen. In any medium.
I have to listen to this. The thought of this on audio sounds amazing. I've read a fair number of these before they went into the anthology. Is this the one that also has the time-traveling Christmas story?
Yes, it does. I love that.
That is like one of my favorite Christmas stories ever.
Yes. Look, I'm being totally honest with you. There's a point where I, as the character, as the actor, just start breaking down crying because it's just such an emotional story that I'm one of those actors who unfortunately goes kind of method with my acting, which is just such a stupid way to do things. But every once in a while, I get to have a pretty good performance, and I'm just going to say it right now. It's a pretty good
Yeah.
performance in the Nativity.
I may have to listen to that. You have to find
So-
out. There's got to be a way to get it other than Audible, because Audible's getting weird. But
To the best of my knowledge, there isn't, but that's only because Jason, John, and Jazzy and I went through Audible to produce the book.
okay, then I
It took
guess it's how it has
forever
to be.
for us to make it work, unfortunately. But
All right.
um,
Well, that would certainly be worthwhile. That would be. That's. I love those stories, and I'd love to hear them as well as read them. So that's great
David, I'd be
news.
thrilled if you are able to write a review afterwards, just because nobody has yet in Audible. I don't know why, but it's gotten, of all of John's work, this is one of my favorite he's done. But for some reason, it's also selling the least for
I
it.
have to change that. So yeah, if
Absolutely.
it's out, yeah.
I'll get the BD release for that when it's done. I don't know
Okay.
that. I'm sorry, reading one of the comments on the YouTube thing. I'll get the BD release for that when it's done. Not sure what that is.
It's a anime, mecha anime called Mad
Oh, okay.
1. I'm just looking through it. It looks
Gotcha.
pretty amazing.
Excellent.
A pity I missed it. I would have invited him on.
Oh well.
Yep,
Next
yep.
time.
Oh well. Thank you very much, Ken. Do you have anything else for us?
No, sir. Well, I mean, in a few weeks, I'm going to be putting out a video of me doing a music video to a fantastic parody of a Disney song. As I in full Viking attire raid a village while singing a part of your world. It's going to be amazing.
That is pretty fantastic.
Yes.
All right. And I guess I will close us out. Thank you all for being our subscribers and patrons and fans in general. We appreciate you. And unlike many of the mega corporations around us, we're still too poor to. We love you dearly and would never betray you, not even for millions and millions of dollars and a Netflix show. Thank you all for joining us. You gotta know your worth. How do you all have only have 2 subscribers? Because groupthink, basically. So the hardest subscribers are always the first couple. Once you get not viral, that's not quite the right word I want for it. But once you get sort of growth going and you have more and more people going through it, it starts to pick up pretty fast. Not enough advertising. I'm not going to pay for advertising, dude. That came out a little harsh. I'm sorry. But no, I know enough about the advertising industry with Google and YouTube and so on. My dad worked in it, and sure, I could do an email marketing campaign, but besides that, paying for marketing and such like that just doesn't work. It maybe has the average email marketing campaign is supposed to have about a 0.7%, 7% to 0.7% response rate. However, because I guarantee you, I'm signed up to all kinds of email newsletters. I don't read them at all, ever. Even the ones that give me free stuff, I just don't. I just pass on it, which is bad of me. But also the thing with that is that Google is not even 1% of 10,000. That's still 100 people. The basic goal of Pinkerton's Ghost is to develop patrons. Essentially, we have people we cater to. As things go on and things get bigger, we'll be able to do more. I have watched how others interact with it when they get very big, especially when they start developing a cult of personality like Digibro did. It's easy to grow too big to handle what you promise. And part of his descent into madness and frustration was the fact that he couldn't make good on his promises. And doing that does have a soul cost and a mind cost. as things go on. And that's just a famous example. Other people, the only thing I promise is that if there's a new episode, they get it. My patrons get it the Monday beforehand. There's a Discord that doesn't really have anything in it, but it's just a way for us to chat if we need to, and a monthly Q&A wherein I am the only one promised to show up. If Anthony and Ken can't make it, that's fine. So I'm keeping things goals connected, and then making sure there's a lot of development. But eventually that'll be too big for us to handle. Especially as things start growing. Like our live streams are growing pretty fast. Like just as a health of the channel, all of our growth markers are in the green, and they're in the green in a very healthy manner, which is very important. Because let's be real, unless it's the bot, if we suddenly blew up, there would be a problem. I know that sounds strange. But it would basically be a sign that some way, somehow, we've taken a ticket. It's not always obvious, and, Satan doesn't show up and, hand you a little ticket to ride. It happens, and then you're down a path. So it's like, it's one of those things where, I do expect a spike to happen sometime around season 2. We're already going up. Our A-cast, which I do absolutely nothing with, is already approaching 500 views and downloads across 3 platforms. So it's like, I dig it. We're growing. It's fantastic, especially for no advertising. But I would be absolutely concerned if we suddenly blew up. We'd have to change things. We'd have to be careful about some stuff. But that's all right. That's all right. We do appreciate you guys. We appreciate all our patrons, Cordell and Aaron Van Treek, who I tried to reach out to join us, but sadly has not responded. But that's okay. He's still paying. And I like to keep things humorous with this, because if you get too serious about money and stuff like that, it does ruin sort of the joy of working with these things. And I'm very careful to monitor this stuff. I'm careful with my editing, and I absolutely trust Anthony, David, Ken, and all the people who regularly work with me, that we're of the same mind. I'm not going to join us up to something that would require us to violate our Christian beliefs. And season 1, I believe, has paid proof to it. Season 2 will as well. Finally, we are going 1 week on, 1 week off with our episodes for a bit. The next episode in the series is going to be part of the Blood Money trilogy. We'll have the 3 Blood Money trilogy episodes, and then we'll have a guest episode starring my friend Jason as a police officer who's called out to a spooky domestic disturbance. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Use the theremin.